Chapter 1534. But now, for a person to win 63 battles in a row, it was definitely not as simple as luck. However, the young girl was still somewhat unconvinced. Grandpa, maybe this person is a king stage expert who has never climbed the stairway to heaven and climbed all the way up? The old man let out a sigh. He shook his head and said, Ching, I don't know how long it will take for you to change your unyielding personality. With your temperament, you're not suitable to be a Radiance envoy. If you still can't recognize the excellence of others after 2 years, then don't fight for the Radiance envoy position. I just need to fight for a position in the Radiant Light Knight Order. As he spoke, the old man's tone became serious. The girl felt a little wronged and muttered, I bet he's over 30 years old. The old man replied, He should be a year younger than you. The old man had personally seen Lin Yuan at the Great Night Assembly. Right now, there was only one person that Mystic Moon had personally encrypted on the star web. It was obvious that this person was the Moon Empress disciple. It seems like the Moon Empress disciple likes to create an alternate identity. It was still Black, the disciple of His Holiness, and the Castellan of Sky City. He could switch between these 3 identities seamlessly. The old man did not feel that there was anything wrong with this. Instead, he was extremely impressed. Thinking back to when he was young, he also had a few aliases. When the young girl heard the old man's words, her eyes darkened and she didn't say a word. After a long while he finally said, Grandpa, I'm going to train. The old man sighed again as he watched the girl leave. Chinger, when will you realize that for Radiance envoys, strength isn't everything? As one of the components of the star web, as long as Lin Yuan logged onto the star web, Mystic Moon would be able to access the star web. He had been secretly paying attention to Lin Yuan's news. Thus, Mystic Moon could be said to be the first person to witness Lin Yuan's achievements. Mystic Moon was very proud of Lin Yuan. Mystic Moon could imagine how happy the Moon Empress would be after she came out of seclusion. When he saw the secret letter sent by the Star Web staff asking him how he should match Black with an opponent, he was stunned. Xianyu snorted lightly. Without receiving a reply, he sent the letter back. What did Wang Zhong, the manager of Star Web, mean? Could it be that I would open the back door for His Highness? The Radiant Moon Palace had never opened the back door when doing things. After Wang Zhong received Xianyu's reply, he knew that she meant for him to make arrangements as he pleased. Although Wang Zhong was a little perturbed, this lord did not express his opinion. For the sake of the excitement of the duel, he could only apologize to Black. In this kind of public duel, if one wasn't sure how to match an opponent. In order to ensure excitement, the stronger the opponent, the better. The stronger the opponent, the more intense the battle. Black had made history by setting a new record on the Stairway winning streak leaderboard. Winning was just breaking another record. From Wang Zhong's point of view, breaking the records consecutively had brought excitement to the audience. It was not as exciting as Black's loss in the Starlight Arena. Wang Zhong instructed his subordinates, Go and find all the sanctuary-level gatekeepers on the 100th step of the heavenly stairway. I'll pick one myself. The staff below scratched his head and said, Brother Wang, there are quite a number of national-level goalkeepers on the 100th step of the stairway to heaven. I've found all of them for you. Do you think you can't sift through them in less than a day? Wang Zhong rolled his eyes and said, Then find me a goalkeeper with a Diamond X/Fantasy VFA, who can defend for more than 10 matches. The staff below looked at each other when they heard this. They knew that Brother Wang wanted to find a strong opponent for Black as much as possible. It seemed like Black would not be able to create another miracle and enter the sanctuary level. However, Brother Wang's arrangement could guarantee that the duel would be absolutely exciting. He could also force Black to reveal as many of his trump cards as he could, and see the extent of Black's true strength. The process of Black gradually revealing his strength would undoubtedly be too much for the audience to take in. Finally, after searching for a while, Wang Zhong's eyes landed on a piece of information. Lu Shuang, there are already over 20 contestants on the 100th step of the Celestial Stairway, right? As a Celestial Stairway goalkeeper of this level, Lu Shuang was already capable of obtaining the Sanctuary level title. She had not obtained the Sanctuary level title because she wanted to prevent others from advancing to the Sanctuary level. It was also so that she could create more program effects during the live stream. Lu Shuang was able to stir up the sanctuary level on the 100th step of the celestial stairway. With such capabilities, Lu Shuang was already considered one of the strongest live streamers on Star Web. Those who obtained the Hall Division title would receive a considerable monthly salary from Star Web. If they were to fight, it would be an exhibition match at the sanctuary level. As a live streamer, Lu Shuang should be very willing to ride on Black's popularity. It would allow her live stream room's popularity to skyrocket again. Most importantly, Lu Shuang was a spiritual type spirit chi professional. Her contracted phase were adept at spiritual attacks. Among the two contracted phase, one was adept at spiritual control, while the other was adept at hypnosis. Spirit type phase were very good at restraining elemental source type life forms. Originally, Black was a healing type spirit chi professional. According to the usual practice, a sanctuary level opponent should also be arranged with a healing type spirit chi professional. However, Wang Zhong did not care so much. How did Black look like a healing type spirit chi professional? It was even more ferocious than combat type spirit chi professionals. Black, this troublemaker, had finally agreed to an exhibition match. If Wang Zhong did not take advantage of him, he would be letting down the masses on Star Web. After making the decision, Wang Zhong personally sent a Star Web message to all the Star Web netizens. V Star Web. At 8 p.m. sharp, the Starlight Arena will host a public duel between Black and Lu Shuang. If Black defeats Lu Shuang, Black will obtain the Sanctuary level title on the 80th floor. This Star Web official message immediately caused an uproar on the Star Web. It gave off the atmosphere of the tournament finals. Lu Shuang was also a celebrity on Star Web, and her fame was not inferior to Black. When Lu Shuang live-streamed, she had created a set of straightforward words that were sharp and venomous. She had the mentality of a troublemaker. More importantly, Lu Shuang was known as the Sanctuary-level door god. Even some Sanctuary-level opponents might not be able to defeat Lu Shuang. What was the Star Web official thinking? Why did they arrange such an opponent for Black? If it was someone else arranged for Lu Shuang to duel with the Star Web official, the fans would have already exploded. However, when Black was arranged to have a celestial stairway duel with Lu Shuang, the happiest ones would be Black's fans. Light of the bright moon. Thank you, Star Web official. The Star Web official finally did something. Our Black's fans will remember you. The Star Web official is awesome. Chapter 1535. Holy Justice Fist. If Black encounters Lu Shuang, he will have to expose all his phase, right? I really want to know what other phase Black has. A melancholic rape flower. I don't know why, but as a fan of Black, I feel excited when I see Black getting beaten up. FY. Don't say anything. I will go and snatch the Star Web Arena's tickets now. Fickle little radish. You people are busy sending messages, and you still want to snatch the tickets? I just saw the Star Web push and went to snatch the tickets, but the Starlight Arena's tickets are already sold out. Immediately after, there was a cry on the Star Web. This was because more and more people had discovered the fact that the tickets had all been sold out. Each Star Web account could only buy one ticket to the Starlight Arena. There was no such thing as hoarding scalped tickets in real life. Therefore, unless one found someone to transfer the tickets, there was no way to get another ticket. The Starlight Arena's tickets, which were originally priced at 5,000 Federation dollars, were instantly hyped up. Many rich people were willing to pay 50 Radiance dollars, which was 100 times the premium, to get a ticket to the Starlight Arena. Those who managed to snatch the Star Web Arena's tickets weren't just rich people. A large portion of them had to work hard to make a living. These people were very willing to sell their 5,000 Federation dollars to buy the Starlight Arena's tickets in exchange for 50 Radiance dollars. For an ordinary family, 50 Radiance dollars was enough to start a prosperous small business. Lin Yuan, who was reading a book, saw that it was about time and logged onto the Star Web. The last time Lin Yuan visited the Starlight Arena was when he logged onto the Star Web for the first time. At that time, Lin Yuan was a bystander. He was watching the duel between the Radiance 100 sequence members, White Devil Daisy, and Unknown Flame Anna. At that time, Lin Yuan had thought that one day, He might also step onto the starlight arena under everyone's eyes. It had only been slightly over 9 months, and Lin Yuan had already done it. The countdown began. When the countdown reached 0, Lin Yuan appeared in the center of the starlight arena. The surroundings were filled with cheers and clamors. The starlight arena could accommodate 1.5 million people at the same time. It was hard for one's blood to not boil with excitement. Black. Quickly take off your mask. If you are handsome, I am willing to bear your children. I am willing even if Black isn't handsome. If you reveal your phone number now, at least half of the girls here will add you as a friend. Lu Shuang, quickly bring out your strongest strength and force Black to summon all of his fays. Beat him up. Lu Shuang, quickly scold your opponent like usual. When the time comes, I'll go to your live stream and reward you with gifts. If you can make Black cry, I'm yours. Hurry up and start. I want to see Black summon a fae. Lin Yuan, who had agreed to the Star Web's public duel, did not know what the Star Web was thinking. Upon hearing the surrounding shouts, Lin Yuan could roughly guess. The opponent he was matched with was very strong. Now that he had revealed his Diamond X/Fantasy V Source Sand, it was impossible for him to win. The audience still felt that this female spirit chi professional, Lu Shuang, could beat them up. This meant that Lu Shuang had at least a Diamond X/Fantasy V Fae. As for whether Lu Shuang had a myth breed Fae, Lin Yuan did not even consider it. If Lu Shuang really had a myth breed Fae, it was impossible for the Star Web officials to arrange it for him. If they really arranged it for him, it would be equivalent to a public accident. Lu Shuang was originally live streaming, and had also paid attention to Black's refresh of the Celestial Stairways streak list. Lu Shuang was very envious of those streamers who were matched with Black. Those anchors who could not be compared to him at all, because they were matched with Black. The popularity of the live stream was almost catching up to her. Lu Shuang was rather envious. If she had encountered such a fortuitous encounter when she was live streaming in her early years, in that case, the money earned from the live broadcast would be enough to increase his strength. At the very least, it would not be difficult to promote a Fae to a myth breed. After becoming an Emperor-class expert, it would be a good choice to join a veteran top-notch faction with potential, or a top-notch faction. It would be better than live streaming on the Star Web. Due to a strange combination of factors, she, who was already famous, had the opportunity to explode in traffic. Lu Shuang regarded this duel between Black and Long as a turning point in her life. Black had just created history with 65 consecutive wins on the Celestial Stairway. If she defeated Black, it would be the same as defeating a history maker. This would undoubtedly cause her value to skyrocket. By then, there would definitely be a faction that would invite her to join. After joining a faction, she would rely on the faction's resources to increase her strength. On the other hand, she would rely on Black's popularity to live stream on the Star Web to earn money. Not only would she be able to leave a reputation, but she might even be able to see her Fae transform into a human form in her lifetime. She might even be able to touch the Emperor class. Her Faes were all spiritual type Faes, and were very special. When spiritual type Faes fought, they often relied on pervasive spiritual attacks. Therefore, he could unleash his full strength from the very beginning, and create the illusion that he had killed Black in one hit. If she could instantly kill Black with a single attack, her reputation on the Star Web would undoubtedly be higher than simply defeating Black. Lu Shuang, who had made up her mind, waved her hand and summoned her 3 Faes. 2 large white snakes that looked exactly the same were entrenched on both sides of Lu Shuang. Each snake's scales were like hooks that grew outwards, looking abnormally sinister and terrifying. The scales on the snake's head were completely exposed, and the trembling scales let out a rustling sound. The dark red snake's tongue flickered out of its lips, and its dark red eyes flickered with evil purple light. The snake's tail slammed on the ground, causing ripples to spread out. However, these ripples weren't due to wind pressure, but materialized spiritual energy. In the middle of the 2 large snakes was a dark silver giraffe that was about 20 meters in height. The strange thing was that this giraffe had a pair of rhinoceros horns on its head. The towering rhinoceros horns were like a signal tower that splashed out a steady stream of spiritual energy. The spiritual energy that sprayed out turned into raindrops and condensed into a pervasive defensive force field. The raindrops splashed on the ground and turned into spiritual energy ripples. They were then retracted by the rhinoceros horns, and the cycle repeated. With the flow of spiritual energy, the two white phosphorus snakes' auras rose a little. It was obvious that the spiritual energy rain sprayed out by the rhinoceros horns had an extremely strong enhancement effect on spiritual energy. Lu Shuang had revealed all her trump cards right from the start. The audience that was familiar with Lu Shuang couldn't help but exclaim, "That's not right." Shuangzi would normally only summon one Earth Witch snake in battle. He would only summon both Earth Witch snakes when he encounters a powerful enemy. Why did he summon the exquisite rhinoceros deer? Chapter 1536. Isn't the exquisite rhinoceros deer cannon Shuang's cannon? Shuang pulled out the cannon and is going to open fire. How is Shuang going to force Black to summon more phase if she opens fire? Black is obviously a young man. Shuang is already in her 40s. She's already in her 20s, yet she's planning to eat him. When Lin Yuan's opponent summoned her phase, the source sand had already entered Lin Yuan's feet and started to create sand. 100.degree.search. Ultimate Dolo. At the same time, Lin Yuan used Morbius True Data to check on Lu Shuang's 3 phase. At a glance, Lin Yuan discovered that the 2 white phosphorus snakes were called Earthwitch snakes. Their strength was at Diamond.Fantasy 3, and they were divine phase that focused on spiritual attacks. The 2 Earthwitch snakes' exclusive skills were Frowny Face Coiling Snake Charm. The snake's coiling body gently rotates to form a special attractive force that attracts phase into an infatuated state. The effect is doubled on reptile-type phase. Sleeping Hiss. Through the spiritual power fluctuation spread by the snake's hiss, it can weaken the target's battle intent and cause the target to enter a state of deep sleep, drowsiness, or fainting. As the duration of the hiss increases, the target will become more controlled. The skills of the 2 witchcraft snakes were all offensive. Coupled with this control-type exclusive skill, the 2 Earthwitch snakes became more well-rounded. It was also a spiritual-type offensive fae that was disliked in the wild. It could play a controlling role in a team. These 2 Earthwitch snakes' diamond abilities were the same. They sacrificed themselves to enhance other spiritual-type phase abilities. Snake Shedding Egg. Extract all of its spiritual power and flesh energy, degenerate into a juvenile state, and inject the extracted spiritual power and flesh energy into a selected target to enhance the target's spiritual power and physical recovery ability. The snake shedding egg ability of these 2 Earthwitch snakes was an ability that could only be used in a life and death situation in reality. Injecting spiritual power and life energy into another target's body and degenerating into a juvenile state would result in a drop in grade. This ability was almost useless in reality, but because of the star web's characteristics, it was an extremely useful ability. Just the spiritual power enhancement of the 2 Earthwitch snakes could allow any spiritual-type fae to have the ability to fight beyond their grade. For example, the exquisite rhinoceros deer opposite them, which was not very aggressive. Fae name: Exquisite rhinoceros deer, Fae species, Giraffe/rhinoceros, Fae grade, Diamond 10 out of 10, Fae type, Spiritual, Fae quality, Fantasy V abilities: Frowny Face Rhinoceros Beam. Condenses mental power into the rhinoceros horn and releases the concentrated mental power through the horn to attack the target. Dual Deer Brain. Double brain to store spiritual power and stores spiritual power. Long Neck Trumpet. Activates spirit energy through the trumpet's trumpet. It can instantly activate the target's spirit energy and increase the speed of channeling spirit energy. Spiritual Seal. By consuming the same amount of spiritual power as the target, both its spiritual power and the target's spiritual power will be erased at the same time. Spiritual Rain. Passively applies a spiritual field effect and spreads its spiritual power to the surrounding environment, turning the surrounding environment into a spiritual power expansion area. The spiritual power raindrops can increase the spiritual power of its own target and weaken the spiritual power of its enemy. Soul Rhinoceros Horn. Spiritualizes the rhinoceros horn on the head and uses the spiritualized rhinoceros horn as a carrier to rapidly absorb all its spiritual power and launch it as a weapon. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Spiritual Lotus. Under the effect of spiritual power enhancement, the spiritual power enhancement effect will be increased correspondingly from the original foundation. Essence Vitality Blood. When the body is injured, it can consume its spiritual power to heal the physical injury. The area healed by the spiritual power will have a certain deterrence effect. When the target attacks the wound again, the target's spiritual power will be deterred. This exquisite rhinoceros deer's attack was not strong, and its general attack skill was only the normal rhinoceros ray. However, it was undeniable that this exquisite rhinoceros deer was the most comprehensive spiritual type Fae that Lin Yuan had ever seen. This exquisite rhinoceros deer was an all-rounder in attack, support, defense, control, and healing. All 5 of them fused into one. In addition, it had 2 exclusive skills with strong control, Earth Witch Snakes. As a result, this spirit chi professional named Lu Shuang had almost no shortcomings. The exquisite rhinoceros deer's elite ability, Dual Deer Brain, allowed it to have a higher spiritual power reserve than spiritual type phase of the same grade. With the Dual Deer Brain ability, Lu Shuang's exquisite rhinoceros deer was equivalent to the total spiritual power of 2 exquisite rhinoceros deer under normal circumstances. The silver ability, Deer Neck Trumpet, was an ability that activated spiritual power, which was equivalent to increasing the spiritual type phase casting speed. Spiritual type phase had to rely on casting to be able to attack, defend, or control. Increasing the casting speed was equivalent to increasing the overall attack, defense, and control ability. In Lin Yuan's opinion, the gold spiritual seal was an extremely domineering control ability. The Dual Deer Brain was destined to have higher spiritual power than phase of the same grade. The spiritual seal seemed to be an ability to cancel out the spiritual power. However, the spiritual power in the exquisite rhinoceros deer's mind could cancel out multiple phase at the same time. It could complete a one versus many exchange. When the spiritual power was erased, the Fae would not be able to control its own body. Naturally, it would not be able to fight anymore. This kind of domineering control ability was relying on the fact that it had more spiritual power. There was no doubt that it was much stronger than the 2 Earth Witch Snake's charm and hypnotism ability. The platinum ability, Spirit Rain, was considered the exquisite rhinoceros deer's core ability. It established the exquisite rhinoceros deer's core ability. While building a spiritual force field, it could also increase the target's spiritual power. It could weaken the target's spiritual power. At the same time, the spiritual power released by the force field was still under the exquisite rhinoceros deer's control. It was equivalent to the exquisite rhinoceros deer, using the surrounding environment as a container to help store its spiritual power. This allowed the exquisite rhinoceros deer to increase its spiritual power's upper limit with the Dual Deer Brain. The diamond ability, Soul Transformation Rhinoceros Horn, was a standard burst ability. It would soul transform the rhinoceros horn and use it as a carrier to condense the entire body's spiritual power to launch an attack on the enemy. The exquisite rhinoceros deer's diamond ability, Soul Transformation Rhinoceros Horn, was much stronger than the Earth Witch Snake's diamond ability, Snake Egg Metamorphosis. When the Soul Transformation Rhinoceros Horn was used, the exquisite rhinoceros deer would only exhaust its entire body. It would not be like the Earth Witch Snakes, which would decrease in grade and metamorphose into its egg form. Instant update Subdued Beast Evolution Quotient. Please bookmark this site so that you can read it immediately when the next update is released. The mobile version was the fastest to update. Chapter 1537. However, on the Star Web, a wandering wizard snake indeed had the capital to thrive. No matter how he used the snake molt egg, he didn't suffer any damage. What he was most concerned about was the exquisite rhinoceros deer's first exclusive skill, Spirit Lotus Flower. The mental lotus flower had a strong effect on enhancing one's mental strength. If this exclusive skill was used on other Faes, it might be nothing. However, it was different on this exquisite rhinoceros deer and on Lu Shuang's team. Lu Shuang's 2 Earth Witch Snakes were like 2 pendants. During battle, the exquisite rhinoceros deer could use the snake molt egg skill to devote all of its spirit and life force to the exquisite rhinoceros deer. After being affected by the spirit lotus flower, it was hard to imagine the exquisite rhinoceros deer accepting the walking witch snake's spiritual energy. How high would his spiritual power be? Under normal circumstances, it would be dangerous to increase a fae's spiritual energy. A huge amount of mental power could very well destroy the brain. However, with the exquisite rhinoceros deer's dual deer brains, coupled with the spiritual rain's ability to expand one's capacity, there was no need to worry about this at all. Once the battle started, the spiritual energy of the soul rhinoceros deer would condense in the rhinoceros horn and attack. Even suzerain/myth breed faes might not be able to withstand it. The second exclusive skill, Essence Blood, was equivalent to giving the exquisite rhinoceros deer a kind of endurance. Through the massive amount of mental power, he healed his own injuries. The healed wounds also had an anti-armor effect. After being attacked, it would return shock, a type of mind control ability that could reduce one's fighting spirit. With this kind of strength, he still fooled around on the 100th step of the heaven stairway, and did not enter the sanctuary level. This meant that Lu Shuang had no intention of advancing to the sanctuary division. For the Star Web officials to arrange such an opponent for him, they probably wanted to squeeze out his potential in exchange for the program's effects. However, the Star Web officials had obviously made the wrong decision. If a creation breed fae attacked him, he wouldn't be able to do so. Lin Yuan might not be able to withstand it. However, a fantasy breed fae's spiritual attack, even if it had reached the pinnacle of a fantasy breed fae, would not be able to withstand it. Lin Yuan was still fearless. Of course, this was all thanks to his intelligence. Genius Silver ability, spiritual expansion, could use genius spiritual energy as Lin Yuan's spiritual energy reserve. Although he could not use the mental expansion's spiritual reserve at will, when he suffered spiritual damage, he could still use it. He could use the mental expansion's spiritual reserve to resist. Genius was an Internet of All Things beast that had evolved from 100 Questions beast. It had the ability to use its mental strength to connect all things. He could grasp almost all the knowledge on the star web. The amount of spiritual power could only be described as the spirit sea. This amount of mental power was not the same as having an extra brain. Or perhaps using the surrounding environment to expand one's mental strength could be compared. Genius Elite Skill, Smart Cat Spirit, allowed Genius to use its mental strength. It would form a contract with other smart cat faes. While controlling the intelligent cat fae, it could also enjoy the contracted intelligent cat fae's spiritual energy unilaterally. Now, the strength of the 100 Questions Beast Legion's 100 Questions Beasts had been raised to Diamond X/Legend. Each Diamond X/Legend 100 Questions Beast had its own spiritual sea. Genius could use its mental power as it pleased in this spirit sea. Even if the exquisite rhinoceros deer shot out 10 soul-transformed rhinoceros horns, Genius could easily block them. At this moment, the atmosphere in the Starlight Arena was at its peak. The shouts from the audience drowned out the commentator's voice. Shuangzi, slow down. Use your earth-walking wizard snake to force Black to summon a few more faes first. Boo-hoo, I spent 50 Radiance dollars to support my idol. I'm not here to watch my idol lose. The Star Web officials will compensate me. Black is too pretentious. Lu Shuang has already summoned her faes. Why hasn't Black summoned them yet? Does he not intend to fight anymore? Or does he think Black will go easy on you? Why isn't Black reacting to Lu Shuang's summoned faes? Fuck. Could it be that Black is already prepared? Or does Black not treat Lu Shuang as an opponent? Why do I have a misconception that Black will win? Lu Shuang's body was slightly trembling when she felt the shouts from the surroundings. It wasn't that Lu Shuang had never seen such a grand scene before. On the contrary, Lu Shuang had just fought an open match at the Starlight Arena last month. However, that open match was just to coordinate with the Star Web's publicity, and it was a normal match. This match was a turning point for her, and it would determine her future development. By defeating the creator of history, one's name would also be recorded in history. In the future, as long as someone mentioned Black on the Celestial Stairway streak list, they would definitely mention her. She would be able to instantly defeat Black, a historical creation master, and defeat Black in an ordinary battle. It was obvious that the former would be a bigger topic. Therefore, Lu Shuang couldn't be bothered with the audience's cries for her to force Black to summon more fays. However, Lu Shuang still had to say what needed to be said. Lu Shuang looked at the silver-masked youth and released that B-type source-type life form that would almost die in every battle. Lu Shuang said in a cold voice, "Summon all your fays. I'm going to make my move." As a veteran Star Web host, Lu Shuang knew how terrifying the tempo on the Star Web was. She had said to let Black summon a fay, even if she really made a move to instantly kill Black. Those people who wanted to see Black summon more fays couldn't blame her. Upon hearing Lu Shuang's words, Lin Yuan replied, "Just attack. Don't worry about me." Hearing this, Lu Shuang ordered one of the ground witch snakes. Voodoo spirit fangs pierce this bee. The Diamond X/Fantasy 3 ground walking witch snake killed the acid corrosion queen bee in a single blow. Lin Yuan thought to himself as he looked at the motionless acid corrosion queen bee that had fallen on the duel arena. How many more times do you have to die before you can comprehend the willpower rune? After killing the acid corrosion queen bee, Lu Shuang yelled, "Ground walking witch snake. Snake molting egg. Go all out to enhance the exquisite rhinoceros deer." Following Lu Shuang's command, the two ground walking witch snakes quickly shook the exploded snake scales on their bodies. Then the snake had opened its mouth to catch the snake tail, allowing the scales to pierce the snake head. The entire snake body coiled together and kept twisting. It formed a ball shape. Finally, the exploded scales closed and formed two oval snake eggs. A large amount of spiritual energy and vitality gushed out of the snake eggs and transferred to the exquisite rhinoceros deer. The exquisite rhinoceros deer was enhanced by the spiritual energy, and its spiritual energy field immediately spread out. Finally, it enveloped the entire duel arena. What happened next shocked Lu Shuang in her heart. It caused the audience to burst out with shocking cheers. The commentator didn't know how to continue for a moment. Chapter 1538. The force field formed by the exquisite rhinoceros deer's spiritual rain had a weakening effect. This effect might not be considered an attack, but under the spiritual force field, as a healing-type spirit chi professional, Black should be kneeling on the ground with dizziness. It had to endure the torture of extreme weakness and helplessness. However, the situation did not go according to Lu Shuang's plan. Black stood there as if nothing had happened. From the beginning to the end, it did not summon any new phase. Could it be that one of Black's phase had an ability or exclusive skill that could provide spiritual defense? Although Black did not summon any new phase, the anomaly in the arena had caused the audience to reach a new climax. "Ah, my husband is so strong. Spiritual power attacks are just a piece of cake for my husband. I'm kneeling to Black." The last time Lu Shuang had a public duel, she used this move, leaving her opponent with no room to defend. Lu Shuang's opponent, Zhou Gang, has already advanced to the Sanctuary Division, so Black should have the ability to advance to the Sanctuary Division. Absolute Black. He just doesn't know how to summon a fey. Shuangzi just blasts Black with a cannon. I hate it when people act pretentiously like this. Lu Shuang did not know what trump card Black had. However, Lu Shuang did not intend to continue entangling with Black. Instead, she intended to launch her strongest attack to end this duel. Exquisite rhinoceros deer. Use your deer neck cry and soul rhinoceros horn to give the opponent the final blow. Upon hearing Lu Shuang's command, the exquisite rhinoceros deer let out a long cry. The spiritual energy in the field turned into a downpour in an instant. The raindrops fell on the ground and formed a rapid drumbeat. The exquisite rhinoceros deer's dark silver body emitted a bright silver glow. Giant trees formed by spiritual power grew around the exquisite rhinoceros deer. The exquisite rhinoceros deer had obviously mobilized all the spiritual power it could mobilize. It also expanded the spiritual power that its body could not store into the environment. At that moment, Lu Shuang realized that Black was looking at her as though nothing had happened. Apart from not being as excited as the audience, it was no different from the audience. This made Lu Shuang's heart uncontrollably burn with anger. She felt that she was being ignored. Lu Shuang yelled angrily, "Black, take my attack." As soon as Lu Shuang's voice fell, a huge suction force came from the exquisite rhinoceros deer's horn. The surrounding trees formed from mental energy, and the raindrops in the field were all absorbed into the rhinoceros horn. At this moment, the situation gradually calmed down. As the rhinoceros horn absorbed more spiritual power, the range of the field became smaller and smaller. When the stance disappeared, the exhausted rhinoceros deer fell to the ground weakly. An antler that looked like a giant sword condensed on top of the exquisite rhinoceros deer's head. The exquisite rhinoceros deer let out a neigh. The rhinoceros horn formed by the spiritual power soul crashed straight at Lin Yuan. Upon seeing that Lu Shuang had finally executed this attack, Lin Yuan simply waved his hand. The source sand, which had been creating a large amount of sand, turned into amber buttons and stuck to Lin Yuan's cufflinks. The wind pressure brought by his spiritual power made his clothes flutter. Lin Yuan just stood there without putting up any defenses. He faced Lu Shuang's strongest attack head-on. Star Web had put in a lot of effort for this public duel with Black participating. Even the 2 gold medal commentators of the game were sent over. Now these 2 gold medal commentators had shut themselves up. They were just short of throwing their microphones to the ground and running away from the commentator seats. Fuck, this Black is simply crazy. Not to mention that he is a troublemaker. Even the battle is so difficult to commentate. How should I commentate now? I can't just say that Black feels that he has no chance to defeat Lu Shuang. Since the start of the match, he has been playing passively without doing anything. He doesn't even bother to resist. If he said that, would the audience who had bought tickets buy it? Brother Black, please, I beg you, please do something. It's too difficult for us to commentate. No matter how popular you are next time, I won't be your commentator anymore. The audience also had a belly full of questions. When Black usually fought, he did not talk much. However, he had never been passive in the match. In the early stages of the tower climbing duel, he had encountered several opponents on the 90th floor, and he had won with difficulty. In Millstone Town, he had used his own strength to protect Millstone Town without fear of life and death. How did he become like this now? For a moment, the shouts from the audience weakened a little. The moment the rhinoceros horn, which was like a giant sword in the clear sky, hit Black, the audience saw the silver mask that Black was wearing suddenly lit up with a silver light that was brighter than the soul-transformed rhinoceros horn. Then, a giant phantom of a civet appeared behind Black. 8 long tails were like silk, intertwining and winding behind Black. The huge spirit cat phantom was like a pool of water, and the towering rhinoceros horn was like a sword. This sword was thrown into the pool, splashing water. Soon it calmed down in the pool. This scene left the entire Starlight Arena speechless for 3 seconds. Everyone was dumbfounded as they looked at Black, who was being hugged by the spirit cat's 8 giant tails. Just as the spirit cat phantom behind Black was about to dissipate, a silver light shot out from Black's silver mask, directly blasting Lu Shuang and the exquisite rhinoceros deer into pieces. The host was the first to react. The host rushed into the arena and shouted, "Congratulations to Black for defeating Lu Shuang as a god. He's the winner of this fight. At the same time, let us all cheer. Congratulations to Black for reaching the Hall Division at the 80th step of the Celestial Stairway. Everyone, are you looking forward to it? Let's see what kind of surprise Black will bring us when he enters the Hall Division." As a host specially arranged by the Star Web officials, his reaction ability was extremely strong. He immediately pushed out a new topic to help the 2 commentators ease the awkwardness. When the audience heard the host's words, they were startled and then reacted. Aha! Previously, so many people were guessing Black's age. Now that he has entered the Hall Division, he will go to the Hall Division's list and find out his age. Fuck. Why didn't I think of this? Previously, there were people guessing Black's age. Since he can participate in the Radiance 100 sequence, it means that he is not over 30 years old. I reckon that he is at least 27 or 28 years old. Otherwise, how can he be so strong? Impossible. My husband is forever 18 years old. Wang Zhong had never expected that Black could defeat Lu Shuang. What Wang Zhong wanted was the excitement of the duel. Black didn't cooperate throughout, and didn't even summon a new Fae. However, the final reversal was simply too exciting. It simply exceeded Wang Zhong's expectations. Wang Zhong also wanted to see Black's age. At that moment, the Celestial Stairways Hall Division's list of persons was officially refreshed. Chapter 1539. All the spectators in the Starlight Arena were staring at the Celestial Stairway Hall of Fame ranking. They were watching the match live, but no one was paying attention to the match. He defeated Lu Shuang at the 80th star of the Celestial Stairway and advanced to the Sanctuary Division. He had once again created Star Web history and broken the Star Web record. Black's seemingly passive attitude towards the competition had caused many fans to spend $50 Radiance to buy tickets through channels. He felt that the ticket money was wasted. But in the end, Black used a way that no one could understand. She actually defeated Lu Shuang under the shadow of the eight-tailed civet. The tickets for the Starlight Arena were divided into seated tickets and standing tickets. The standing ticket was also an off-site ticket. Those audience members had spent $50 Radiance to grab tickets to the arena. There is no limit to the number of spectators with off-site tickets. When he had watched the duel between White Demon Daisy and Anna unmolested, what he bought was an off-site ticket. The spectators in the Starlight Arena who had purchased tickets outside the arena were unable to experience the excitement of the duel up close. However, this did not prevent the spectators from feeling the atmosphere in the stadium. The spectators outside the arena were also staring at the Celestial Stairway Hall of Fame list. He was prepared to see how old this youth, who had broken the Radiance era's history twice in a row, was. Being able to enter the Heaven Stairway's Sanctuary ranking was already the best proof of one's strength. The mutual restraint between phase and the checks and balances between different spirit chi professionals. It was very difficult to determine who was stronger and who was weaker based on the outcome of a battle. Therefore, the Heaven Stairway's Sanctum ranking of persons adopted the fairest method. That was, under the same level, the younger the person. The higher the ranking on the Heaven Stairway Sanctum ranking, the higher the ranking. The Heaven Stairway's Sanctuary ranking was updated in real time. The majority of the Heaven Stairway's celebrity leaderboard were sanctuary-level powerhouses that were below the royal level. It was too troublesome to make people climb up bit by bit. Black was able to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection and had received a qualification check from the Radiance Sacred Hall. It was confirmed that Black was qualified to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence selection. This meant that no matter how old Black was, he would not be older than 30 years old. Therefore, the spectators who wanted to witness history were going to scroll to the Celestial Stairway Celebrity Leaderboard, and below the age of 30. In the end, everyone suddenly realized that there were only 5 people in this section. Moreover, 4 of these 5 people did not publicly reveal their identities. It was the same as Black's situation. In order to enter the Heaven Stairway Sanctuary ranking, one's strength must be at the peak of the king level. Therefore, the younger generation of the Radiance 100 sequence members were not included in the Celestial Stairway Sanctuary class list of persons. The Heaven Stairway Sanctuary ranking list was too long. The ones in front were all powerful Emperor Realm experts. Almost everyone who was watching the list was attracted by the Emperor Stage powerhouse at the head of the list. It was hard to notice the people in the middle of the list. Before those people entered the Hall of Fame rankings, as he didn't break the history of the Star Web, he didn't attract much attention. On top of that, he was secretly fighting in a low-key manner. Before this, the deeds of these people were only spread among the internal members of the ranking list who often paid attention to it. Everyone's hearts were as clear as a mirror. These people possessed such strength at such a young age. All of them were around 23 or 24 years old. These people were obviously the legendary disciples of His Holiness. They were all powerful people who would compete for the Radiance Envoy position in the future. But now, these people's rankings had all been moved down a rank. A name with 18 years behind it was written on top of these people's names. The number 18 made the hearts of everyone who was paying attention to the list tremble. Black was actually only 18 years old. 18 years old. He had just reached adulthood, but he had such a heavenly talent. Think about what I was doing when I was 18 years old. This youth called Black had already entered the Celestial Stairway Sanctuary class list of persons at the age of 18. He had broken the Radiance Envoy's record twice. He had even broken the Celestial Stairway's winning streak record set by the current Radiance Envoy. Before this, because he wasn't sure of Black's age, he could only praise Black's talent. However, Black's talent couldn't be compared with the current Radiance Envoys. But now, Black's age was even younger than the Radiance Envoy. Fuck Lin Yuan. Fuck Chuxiai. How could the talents of these two be compared with Black? Black was fully deserving of being the #1 genius of the younger generation. Because Black had been brought to the forefront of the struggle. In addition, people had been comparing Black with Lin Yuan. Especially after Black broke the Celestial Stairway's winning streak record. Only those who had participated in the Nyx assembly and understood Lin Yuan's true identity and strength were the younger generation of the veteran factions, and the top factions who had spoken up for him. Even now, these people still didn't think that Black could defeat Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan had said that he was 19 years old, which was 1 year older than Black. However, Lin Yuan had defeated Zhongzhe at the age of 19. He had relied on shocking combat methods and the mysterious sacred source life form to clinch first place in the civil and martial duels. In the civil and martial challenges, he completed the test in less than 20 minutes. How big of a difference could there be in the age of 1 year? Moreover, Lin Yuan had the ability of a Class 4 creation master. Did Black have the ability? However, these words were stuck in the hearts of the younger generation disciples of the veteran factions and the top factions. They couldn't say it out loud. This was because all information that involved His Majesty's disciple was classified. Everyone had to keep their mouths shut. The Starlight Arena's audience, who had witnessed history and been shocked by it, couldn't help but shout loudly. Black is actually only 18 years old. He shocked my mother for an entire year. How can Black be so young? I always thought that Black was an uncle with a youthful aura. I didn't expect him to be a young man. Black Bullcoins. I will be Black's diehard fan from now on. Radiance's #1 genius. This sentence was shouted out. The entire Starlight Arenas and outside the arena's cheers were unified. Black, Radiance's #1 genius voice echoed throughout the arena. Black, Radiance's #1 genius voice echoed throughout the arena. In the center of the arena, Lin Yuan let out a soft sigh when he heard people talking about his age. I am actually already 19 years old. However, StarWeb calculated one's age as 1 year old. His birthday was young, so he would only be considered 19 years old in August this year. Therefore, on StarWeb, Lin Yuan's age was 1 year younger than his actual age. This public duel was over, and the fans who deserved to be spoiled had already been spoiled. He had finally given an explanation to those who had been waiting for his return. When he saw that the host was in front of him and wanted to interview him, Lin Yuan immediately replied without hesitation. My stomach hurts. I'm going to the toilet. After speaking, he immediately logged out of StarWeb. Chapter 1540. Black's behavior stunned the host at the scene. The spectators outside and inside the StarWeb arena were also stunned. Everyone at the scene stared at each other blankly for a full 3 minutes. Go to the toilet. Stomach ache. Do you think you can scour the StarWeb and have diarrhea? Why didn't you say that you went to the toilet when you were fighting with Lu Shuang? How much time can you waste by accepting an interview? Moreover, you just broke the Radiance's history twice, and are now accepting an interview. The interview and the previous duel were stored in the Celestial Stairway's video library for everyone to watch. This interview was a good opportunity for anyone to become famous in the Radiance. You actually said that you don't want it. You even found such a strange reason to run away. Black, you're really worthy of your name. When Black turned the tables and won, the host saw the two commentators' mouths open awkwardly and did not know what to say. Thus, he saved the situation at the last minute and diverted the audience's attention. Afterward, Black's age was exposed on the Celestial Stairway's list of celebrities. Everyone was shocked by Black's age. After everyone recovered from the shock, their attention returned to the duel between Black and Lu Shuang. Questions filled the Starlight Arena one after another. That's not right. What in the world was that giant civet with 8 tails that appeared behind Black? Is it a fae? Why is Black's fae equipment so strange when compared to other spirit chi professionals? Black is a healing-type spirit chi professional. Why doesn't he use his healing ability? Those who say that Black doesn't use his healing ability, are they stupid? Didn't Black use his healing ability to heal FaZe when he climbed the tower? Black is now killing his opponents in a single blow. Why would he use his healing ability? I just saw Black's silver mask glowing. This silver mask is definitely not an ordinary accessory. The surprised voices in the Starlight Arena caused the host and the two commentators to fall into an awkward situation again. Black, you're really something. We can't get off work after you leave. But speaking of which, the host and the two commentators really did not know what was going on with the huge phantom spirit cat. There were many possibilities for such a situation. That spirit cat could be a fae, a source-type life form. It might even be a sacred source life form. Now that they were facing the entire Star Web audience, the host and the two commentators did not dare to make wild guesses or express their opinions. Otherwise, he might make a fool of himself and affect his career. As for Black's silver mask, the host and the two commentators thought that it was just an ordinary accessory. But from the looks of it now, that wasn't the case. Star Web duels didn't allow the use of weapons as it was the best way for spirit chi professionals to fight. It was to control FaZe in battle, instead of wielding a long saber and personally fighting in melee combat. However, a suitable treasure was allowed to be brought onto the Star Web. It could be used in the Celestial Stairway duels. However, artifacts were created by a Class 5 creation master from the body of a dead sacred source life form. Such a precious item had never appeared in the Star Web Celestial Stairway duels. Thus, it was unknown whether Blackface was carrying a precious artifact or some kind of spirit artifact. That was up for debate. The audience in the stadium began to discuss fiercely. He did not leave the Starlight Arena immediately after the battle ended. The two Star Web's gold medal commentator and ace host could only accompany them awkwardly. They had worked overtime for nearly an hour. In the face of the intense and curious atmosphere, there was no way for them to display their control ability. At the same time, Black and Lu Shuang's duel was synchronized. It was synchronized to the Celestial Stairway video library. The entire duel took less than 3 minutes from the moment Black entered to the moment he left. Thus, the Star Web netizens who didn't buy tickets and didn't go outside to watch quickly finished watching the duel. For a moment, the atmosphere in the Starlight Arena spread to the entire Star Web. Black's fans were stunned once again. Many of the Star Web netizens who had criticized Black on the Star Web went to Black's official forum to apologize. Black's official Tieba forum had not only returned to its former glory. A large number of Star Web netizens gathered in Black's official forum to discuss the duel between Black and Lu Shuang. It made Black's official forum even more popular than before. Lu Shuang originally wanted to defeat Black and use the popularity of Black's history to soar to the sky. She didn't expect that her plan would fail. The disparity broke Lu Shuang's defenses. The huge disparity caused Lu Shuang to be in a daze for a long time. But after learning that Black had won, he didn't accept any interviews and didn't give any response. Lu Shuang immediately perked up. She immediately opened her live streaming room and started live streaming. She might be the loser, but the winner had left. As a loser, she could always use the winner's glory to gain some popularity. While the entire Star Web was in a frenzy, any residual wave of popularity could make Lu Shuang full. The number of fans in Lu Shuang's live streaming room doubled. She became the most popular dual streamer below the Emperor class. The live streaming room's popularity was even vaguely comparable to the sparrow voice lowly goddess in the attractive section. The live streaming room's comments were all related to Black. Lu Shuang, who had experienced the benefits of popularity, didn't care about it. But facing the audience's questions, even Lu Shuang, who had fought with Black, didn't know how to answer. However, not answering anything was equivalent to pushing away the audience in the live stream. Therefore, Lu Shuang spoke ambiguously, facing the audience's questions. Lu Shuang, do you think Black's 8-tailed spirit cat phantom is a sacred source life form? Lu Shuang replied, if Black's spirit cat phantom shrank to the size of a house cat, it should be a very cute pet. Facing the audience's questions, Lu Shuang, the next time you fight with Black, Are you confident you can defend against Black's attacks? Lu Shuang replied. Black doesn't have any martial ethics. He sneaked up on an old comrade like me. He didn't even say anything before he counterattacked. I shouted before I attacked. Facing the audience's questions. Host, are you stupid? What did we ask? What did you reply? Lu Shuang replied. I'm hungry. I want to eat a plate of meat, egg, and onion chicken. In this popular event, Lu Shuang was called Riddler by the audience in the live streaming room. In the future, this nickname would only become more and more popular. Master Duanli, who was observing all this, felt that it was time for her to make a move. Master Duanli made a post on Black's official forum. The post was titled Class 4 Creation Masters Conjecture on Black's Spirit Cat Phantom and Mask. Chapter 1541. In the post, Master Duanli pointed out with certainty, Black could not be an A-rank Spirit Chi professional, so the Spirit Cat's strength could not reach Emperor rank. Moreover, when the Spirit Cat's shadow counterattacked, there was no spiritual power fluctuation. This situation was similar to a passive skill that would automatically counterattack when it received passive damage. According to the strength of the counterattack, the spiritual power of the counterattack was almost the same as the exquisite rhinoceros deer's strongest attack. Master Duanli made a bold guess. Black's mask should be a cat species Fey with 8 tails and a tool transformation item. Of course, Master Duanli also pointed out that this was only her guess. She could not rule out other possibilities. Master Duanli's post quickly attracted the attention of many Star Web netizens. A Class 4 Creation Master's analysis was always closer to the truth than a random guess. It was precisely because Master Duanli, a Class 4 Creation Master, made such an uncertain statement that the academic world was in an uproar. Many Class 4 and Class 5 scholars, Fey observers, and Fey analysts entered the field. They were analyzing Black's Fey. On one hand, it was to prove Master Duanli's statement. On the other hand, it was to find evidence to refute Master Duanli's statement. If he could really refute a Class 4 Creation Master's statement, wouldn't he be able to prove it? His knowledge was even more profound than a Class 4 Creation Master's. Wang Zhong stared blankly at the Celestial Stairway Sanctum ranking. When he saw Black's age, he was speechless for a long time. When he saw the age of 18, Wang Zhong finally understood everything that he did not understand before. He understood why Lin Yuan's Star Web access was so high. Even he, the Star Web manager, could not investigate it. He also understood Lin Yuan's possible identity. At this age, with this level of access, he was definitely the disciple of one of the Majesties. Moreover, this Majesty's disciple was even more talented than the other disciples of the Majesties. Black was very likely to be the new leader of the Radiance faction in the future. Such a person was already lying in wait. The public duel that he had arranged at the Starlight Gladiator Arena was the same as exposing Black's identity. It made Black the center of attention on the Star Web. Fortunately, Lu Shuang, whom he had arranged, had never fought Black before. If Lu Shuang's actions caused Black to be defeated in front of the entire Star Web audience, in that case, he might even be blacklisted by the Lord who set up the authority to settle the score. Lin Yuan, who was in the Spirit Lock spatial zone checking on Genius's situation, was completely unaware of the commotion on Star Web. Meow. Lin Yuan, smart, it's fine. You don't have to worry about being clever. After Lin Yuan checked on Genius and confirmed that there was nothing wrong with it, he spoke. Smart. Under normal circumstances, your skill, mental expansion, will not materialize the phantom of a spirit cat. Why did you summon the phantom of the spirit cat during this attack? When Genius heard this, it explained in a childish voice. Genius was too nervous. Genius was afraid that the attack would injure you. So, Genius mobilized the mental energy of the other 100 questions beasts and turned their mental energy into spirits to protect you. This is the first time Genius has used this ability. Genius didn't know that such a big scene would appear after using this method. It seems that Genius has caused trouble for Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan reached out and scratched Genius' chin. Smart, with your current spiritual energy, you should be able to resist a creation breed spiritual type Fey, right? When Genius heard this, it replied softly. Genius is confident in blocking the attacks of a spiritual type myth-breed fae. But when facing some special spiritual type faes that release spiritual toxins, Genius's spiritual defense will be greatly weakened. But Lin Yuan, don't worry. Genius is about to reach Fantasy V. After reaching Fantasy V, Genius is confident in resisting the spiritual toxins released by a Myth 3 fae. At this point, Genius paused for a moment before continuing. Lin Yuan, find a few more 100 questions beasts for Genius. Genius should be able to contract another 100 questions beasts with its smart cat spirit ability. After hearing Genius words, Lin Yuan's heart was filled with joy. He didn't expect that the increase in quality would actually increase Genius's soul power so much. Genius could use smart cat spirit to form a contract with another 100 questions beasts. Right now, the number of 100 questions beasts had doubled. It meant that Lin Yuan was about to possess 200 Pinnacle Class 4 Creation Masters. Such a production capacity was already comparable to the Federation's Pinnacle Creation Masters. Apart from the 100 Questions Beast Legion, Lin Yuan also had a Class 5 Creation Master under him. The Class 5 Creation Master was none other than Di Wanmi, who was being controlled by Red Thorn's Tongue of Relinquish. Lin Yuan waved his hand and released Di Wanmi. Under Red Thorn's control, Di Wanmi, who was standing in front of Lin Yuan, was no longer as arrogant and evil as before. However, Di Wanmi's eyes were still filled with disregard for life. However, Di Wanmi had previously ignored the lives of human creation masters. Under Red Thorn's control, Di Wanmi was indifferent to all living beings. Lin Yuan could understand this. In the dazzling red eyes, the flesh and blood of all living creatures were just bait for him to increase his strength. Ever since Lin Yuan had started nurturing Red Thorn, it had been devouring dimensional life forms' flesh in large quantities. Fortunately, his existence could control Red Thorn, so that Red Thorn wouldn't become very dangerous. If he didn't restrict Red Thorn, it would be completely up to Red Thorn's whims if he left it in the wild. He was certain that the natural disaster caused by the rampaging Red Thorn was a natural disaster. It was definitely not inferior to those carcinoma phase that were known as the Fifth Calamity. After pondering for a moment, Lin Yuan took out the sacred source life form, Scarlet Tentacle Algae, that he had obtained from killing the shark Mang. He passed it to Di Wanmi. Turn the sacred source life form, Scarlet Tentacle Algae's body into a treasure. Upon hearing that, Di Wanmi took the Scarlet Tentacle Algae corpse that Lin Yuan handed over and said, "That's right. If I want to forge it into a prized artifact, I will need around 2 weeks. The Scarlet Tentacle Algae has the ability to shield, restrain and absorb energy. Its shape is suitable to be made into a whip-like prized artifact. It's just that the 6-star Sacred Source Lifeform's body is too heavily damaged. The quality of the refined treasures can only be between low-grade and mid-grade. If you're unlucky, you'll only be able to obtain a low-grade treasure. If I'm lucky, the prized artifact's quality can reach mid-grade. It's just that the possibility is very small." Di Wanmi had only used a few sentences to show Lin Yuan the standard of a Class 5 Creation Master. Chapter 1542. When the Mother of Bloodbath had awakened its favored spirit bloodline. Most of the Scarlet Tentacle Algae's bodies had been used by the Mother of Bloodbath as consumables to replenish its depleted blood energy. As long as the remaining Scarlet Tentacle Algae's bodies could be made into treasured artifacts. Who cared if they were inferior grade or middle grade? The greeting gift that Chef Supreme had given him in the Radiant Moon Palace. The treasured artifact made of the Treasure Cave Golden Toad's skin and stomach pouch was an inferior grade treasure. However, after using it for so long, the more Lin Yuan used it, the more fragrant it was. It had helped him solve many problems. The treasured artifact made of the Treasure Cave Golden Toad's skin and stomach pouch had traveled back and forth between the Radiance Federation and the Divine Wood Federation. Only God knew how many spatial spiritual materials Lin Yuan had saved. Next, Lin Yuan needed to consider how to settle down Di Wanmi. He now had 3 choices. The first choice was to send Di Wanmi to the Swamp World's breeding room. He would provide resources for Di Wanmi and let him concoct a large number of Class 5 spirit liquids. He would be a tool that only knew how to concoct spirit liquids. The second choice was to let Diwanmi appear in the Radiance Federation openly. He would let Wen Yu put a layer of faceless paper on Diwanmi's face, which was now full of nail scars. Then he would let Diwanmi, who had changed his appearance, preside over Sky City. He would pull Sky City's status to the same level as the Radiant Moon Palace, the Kitchen Fragrance Palace, and the Purple Bamboo Garden. The third choice was to bring Diwanmi to the Divine Wood Federation. Then he would speed up the development of the Shockwave Continent. With Diwanmi's momentum as a Class 5 Creation Master, he could even let the Divine Wood Federation, Iron Hammer Federation, and Deep Brahman Federation on the Shockwave Continent fuse into a new federation. A federation with a Class 5 Creation Master presiding over it. At that time, the entire Shockwave Continent's faction structure would be centered around Diwanmi. In other words, through Diwanmi, Lin Yuan could control the entire Shockwave Continent in his hands. After thinking about it, Lin Yuan gave up on the first choice. Even if Diwanmi went to the Shockwave Continent or preside over Sky City and revealed his identity, it would not stop Diwanmi from hoarding Class 5 spirit liquids like a tool. If Diwanmi was a living Class 5 Creation Master, Diwanmi would have to work. Lin Yuan might need to consider Diwanmi's feelings. However, the current Diwanmi was just a tool controlled by Red Thorn. Even if Diwanmi had to work 24 hours a day, Lin Yuan would not need to have any psychological burden. He weighed the options between the second and third option. He decisively gave up on the second point. The Radiant Moon Palace was a faction established by his master, the Moon Empress, and Lin Yuan was the young lord of the Radiant Moon Palace. Diwanmi presided over Sky City and displayed his strength as a creation master. While Sky City was elevated to the same level as the Radiant Moon Palace, it wasn't Sky City that was truly revered. It was Diwanmi, the Class 5 Creation Master. Diwanmi was Hui Yao's sinner. Even after death, he did not have the right to be revered by others. He was even more unworthy to be on the same level as his master, the Moon Empress. This was the same as insulting his master, the Moon Empress, Chef Supreme, and Bamboo Monarch. Moreover, Lin Yuan's ambition in building a Sky City was not in the Radiance sect. Sky City now possessed the might of a top-tier force. It also displayed a massive amount of Creation Master resources. Just the Golden Lotus Brocade was enough for Lin Yuan to develop in the Radiance sect for a long time. Therefore, the Agawan continent was the most suitable for Diwanmi. It was impossible for him to preside over the Divine Wood Federation's underground palace for a long time. The Divine Wood Federation was not without experts. Apart from being a Class 5 Creation Master, Diwanmi was also a peak Immortal Realm expert. Diwanmi still had the ability of a Creation Master after death. However, Diwanmi's phase had been killed and were the same as Diwanmi. They were both controlled by the tongue of relinquish and could exist in another way. Therefore, Diwanmi's strength as a spirit chi professional was the same as a Creation Master's ability. Without the chance to improve again, he could only be stuck at the peak of Immortal Realm for the rest of his life. Such strength might not be enough to face the Mother Goddess Federation, which had a fresh Class 5 Creation Master presiding over it. However, the Agawan continent did not even have a Class 5 Creation Master. Such strength was already considered the ceiling of the Agawan continent. Lin Yuan had a dispute with the Deep Lush Federation's reclusive Lu family in Oak City. He had killed the Lu family's people and burned their tree castle. The Lu family would definitely react to this matter. With Diwanmi presiding over the underground palace and sending out his phase, it was the most effective way to ensure the safety of the land that Lin Yuan currently controlled. It was the most effective guarantee for the safety of the land that Lin Yuan was currently in control of. It allowed Lin Yuan to understand the situation of the Agawan continent in the first place. Through communicating with Red Thorn, Diwanmi was like a clone. Time passed day by day. The Celestial Body Council convened 2 more times. Lin Yuan, who had been observing Genius and Chimy's situation, realized that Genius had been stuck in its quality. It was preparing to transform into Fantasy V with Chimy just like the previous time when it evolved into a fantasy breed. They would welcome a new bloodline transformation together. At that moment, Chimy's feathers were emitting a faint glazed luster. When it flapped its wings, There would be an immortal sound. It was obvious that Chimey would be able to evolve from Fantasy 4 to Fantasy V within these 2 days. Its quality might evolve from Fantasy 4 to Fantasy V at any time. It would complete a new round of breakthrough. Just as Lin Yuan was looking forward to Chimey's bloodline breakthrough, the Mother of Bloodbath found him. Lin Yuan could feel the ups and downs of the Mother of Bloodbath's emotions from its eyes. Just as Lin Yuan was about to ask the Mother of Bloodbath what had happened, the Mother of Bloodbath spoke softly with a trembling voice. Lin Yuan, he's here. Through my connection with the Sun Chain, I can sense that he will arrive at the Radiance Royal Capital within today. Lin Yuan immediately knew who the Mother of Bloodbath was referring to. When the Mother of Bloodbath had transformed into a favored spirit, there had been a sun chain echoing in the sky with the Mother of Bloodbath. This meant that the Mother of Bloodbath definitely had a blood relative. Lin Yuan felt that the Mother of Bloodbath's blood relative was likely to be a female fae. Otherwise, it would not be possible to share the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline with the Mother of Bloodbath. However, Lin Yuan could not figure it out. As a favored spirit that belonged to the sun, why could the Mother of Bloodbath inherit the favored spirit's bloodline when she gave birth to the Mother of Bloodbath? According to the records, the favored spirit's bloodline had always been maintained alone. Even if some heavenly chosen spirits gave birth to children, the children shouldn't be heavenly chosen spirits. The Mother of Bloodbath had never been a person who liked to express its emotions. Lin Yuan could clearly feel the Mother of Bloodbath's nervousness, panic, and anticipation on its face. There was also a hint of complaint. Chapter 1543. Through the Mother of Bloodbath's emotions, Lin Yuan knew that it had been looking forward to this meeting for a long time. Just as Lin Yuan stood up from the water rhinoceros leather sofa and was about to comfort the Mother of Bloodbath, suddenly, the sun in the sky suddenly brightened and emitted countless rays of light. These rays of light seemed to cover the sun with a layer of gauze. A chain that looked like an angry dragon suddenly fell from the sun. At that moment, the royal capital's residents could not help but raise their heads and look at the sky in horror. They did not understand what was happening. At that moment, an old man with white hair and beard but a baby face appeared out of thin air. He appeared in front of the sun chain out of thin air. He looked at the blue-haired woman in front of him, the black-clothed man in a fishing net suit, and the red-clothed youth with a pair of strange eyes. The old man spoke faintly. The 3 hall masters of the Heaven-Blessed Mansion. Why don't you stay in the Heaven-Blessed Mansion? Why have you come to my radiance? As he spoke, the old man's aura suddenly emitted. Immediately after, a shell shadow appeared behind the old man. The shell was silver in color, and had all kinds of magnificent runes jumping on it. When the 2 runes on the shell collided, they would produce strange spatial ripples. Suddenly, the huge silver shell opened. The entire sky was dyed bright silver by this huge silver shell. It was as if the sky above the royal capital was split into 2 worlds. The flesh in the silver shell stretched out and spat out a silver pearl. The flesh inside the silver shell stretched out and then spat out a silver pearl. Although it did not cut the sun chain, the silver light covered the entire Radiance Royal Capital. Immediately after, the old man raised his hand and pointed at the sky. Immediately after, the old man raised his hand and pointed at the sky. An even more terrifying spatial fluctuation was mobilized by the old man. It was as if some powerful creature was going to drill out of the old man's body. At that moment, the blue-haired woman opposite the old man hurriedly stepped forward and said, "Spacetime Elder, long time no see. I didn't expect your hollow crystal mother shellfish to be able to create dimensional spaces at will. The 3 of us are here to visit Radiance. We mean no harm. The Heaven-Blessed Mansion has never thought of becoming enemies with Radiance. Put away your stance." The old man snorted when he heard that. Not only did his aura not restrain at all, it even grew stronger and stronger. Making such a big commotion in the sky above our Radiance sect doesn't seem like the etiquette of a visit. If you want to pay a special visit, your Heaven's Blessed Dojo should first send an invitation to the Imperial Court. Then I'll wait in Ascending Dragon City, waiting for the special envoy to bring me into the capital. This is the proper etiquette for coming to my Hui Yao. The old man's words made the blue-haired woman look a little embarrassed. The blue-haired woman pondered for a moment before saying, "We were rude." After saying that, the blue-haired woman transformed. It turned into a beautiful orchid that bloomed in the sky. The orchid spat out dew, and a fine rain poured down from the sky. It sprinkled onto the land within the boundaries of the royal capital. This drizzle lasted for a full 5 minutes before the blue-haired woman returned to human form. This nourishing rain, just treat it as heaven's blessed dojo's gift to Wuxia. As she spoke, the blue-haired woman's face revealed a pained expression. The baby-faced old man with white hair and beard saw the blue-haired woman. To think that he had directly given such a great opportunity to the capital city. He couldn't help but reveal a surprised expression. Then, the old man's expression returned to normal. He said, "Then I'll thank heaven's blessed dojo on behalf of the phase that received nourishment on the royal capital's soil." Although the old man said that, he didn't restrain his aura at all. He also didn't intend to retract the mother crystal ability. When the man in the fishing net clothes saw this, he immediately revealed a displeased expression. "Hey, Elder Time. Blue Lotus has been brewing this nourishing rain for at least 50 years. This nourishing rain that gathered the essence of the 4 seas for 50 years can allow the land around your royal capital to have a bountiful harvest for 30 years. This great gift is enough to express our heaven's blessed dojo's sincerity." When Blue Lotus heard Bai Feng's words, she hurriedly glared at her. Then she smiled apologetically at Elder Time and said, "I came to Wuxia this time. Firstly, Brother Blood wants to thank the Moon Empress and Night Empress for their help to Heaven's Blessed Dojo. Secondly, Brother Blood's daughter is in Heaven's Blessed Dojo. It's unavoidable that we're in a rush to recognize each other in person." Blue Lotus knew what kind of person the old man in front of her was. Father Time always had such a smile on his face, but he always did things by the book. If she didn't express her intentions immediately, if that happened, Father Time would immediately summon something terrifying to deal with them. If it was just Elder Space alone, Blue Lotus wouldn't be afraid. If she, Shueshua, and Bai Feng joined forces, they might be able to fight Elder Time head-on. But this was Heaven's Blessed Dojo. Elder Time would appear, on one hand, because he was good at large-scale defense. On the other hand, Heaven's Blessed Dojo also wanted to find out their purpose and intentions. Once they made a move, the other holiness paying attention to the movements in the sky would definitely attack instantly. No matter how conceited Blue Lotus was about her strength, she didn't dare to face the attacks of so many holiness at the same time. Moreover, Heaven's Blessed Dojo and Heaven's Blessed Dojo had no enmity. In the matter of Sister Jade Gui and Shueshua, Heaven's Blessed Dojo owed Heaven's Blessed Dojo a favor. That was why Blue Lotus was willing to release the moist rain that she had refined for 50 years. Father Time frowned upon hearing Lan Lian's words. Father Time knew that there was a heavenly spirit that belonged to the sun some time ago. On the island outside Stormy Wave City, the sun was triggered and a strange phenomenon occurred. Back then, the Moon Empress had even helped the favored spirit. Later, after asking around, Father Time learned that this spirit of heavenly favor was related to the Moon Empress disciple. Not long ago, during the court meeting, the Moon Empress disciple Lin Yuan had saved tens of thousands of creation masters in the Whale Ocean Trade City's underground palace. Night Leaning Moon explained everything to him. If the Moon Empress came out of seclusion, this matter could be handed over to her to make the decision. However, the Moon Empress had yet to come out of seclusion, and Elder Time could not let the 3 favored spirits in front of him go and find Lin Yuan. If anything were to happen, the Moon Empress would definitely look for him to settle the score. He might even tear apart his old bones. In the future, his granddaughter would also be sad because of her employer's death. You guys came at the wrong time. The Moon Empress is in seclusion. Retreat to Ascending Dragon City first. When the Moon Empress comes out of seclusion, someone will come to Ascending Dragon City to bring you to the royal capital for a visit. Lan Lian had said so much just now. However, Old Man Time's words came back to him. This made Lan Lian feel a little annoyed. It was a very simple matter. She just needed to let Shueshua see her child. Lan Lian really didn't understand why Elder Time and Space was so evasive. Chapter 1544. At this moment, Shueshua had already placed his hand on the sun chain. At such a close distance, the sun stripe had sent a message through the sun chain. Shueshua could already vaguely sense the mother of bloodbath's location. Shueshua's face was filled with apprehension, anticipation, and guilt. Then Shueshua turned to look at Father Time. I need to see my child today. I swear by the sun. I don't do anything but see my children. As Shueshua spoke, his body was bathed in a layer of sunlight. This layer of sunlight took away a portion of Shueshua's energy and shot it into the sun. The heavenly chosen spirit could swear upon the celestial phenomenon that it belonged to. This was an ability unique to the chosen spirits. If the oath was broken, the heavenly protector's spirit would be rejected by the celestial phenomenon. It could be said that Shueshua had shown all his sincerity. To be able to become the hall master of the heaven-blessed mansion, one's strength had at least reached the eternal realm. Making a powerhouse who had a glimpse of eternity swear an oath in public was a very humiliating thing to do. However, Shueshua did it without even thinking about it. It was evident how much Shueshua was looking forward to seeing his child. Shueshua's sincerity made things difficult for Father Time. If he continued to refuse, it would be tantamount to preventing their flesh and blood from meeting. However, if he didn't refuse, what if something happened when Shueshua went to see the child? Elder Spacetime would no longer have the face to be Hui Yao's majesty. The Spacetime geezer said in a serious tone. Even if the Heaven-Blessed Dojo's Grand Dojo Master, Zi Qing, comes to Hui Yao as a guest, he has to first send a visiting card and wait to be received in Ascending Dragon City. When the time comes, our Hui Yao will naturally treat you with courtesy. I haven't seen my child for so many years. I don't think it's a long time. Old Man Time's words made Shueshua's eyes dim. Anger finally appeared on Lan Lian and Baifeng's faces. The Radiance Federation's majesty presided over the Radiance Federation. In such a large-scale federation with a population of hundreds of millions, laws would always be above human relations. As an organization formed by dozens of heavenly chosen spirits, the Heaven-Blessed Mansion had always pursued the principle of human relations. This made it impossible for Father Time to consider problems from Shueshua's perspective. As a result, Lan Lian and Baifeng couldn't understand what was going on. Why did the Radiance sect keep dodging the question? Could it be that there was something wrong with the children of Shueshua and Yu Gui? Lan Lian and Baifeng's auras became chaotic when they thought of this. Blue Lotus and White Phoenix exuded an aura that felt like it would last for eternity. It collided with Father Time's pressure. For a moment, the atmosphere was in a deadlock. At that moment, the sky above the Radiance Royal Capital was firmly blocked by the spatial force. No one could see what was happening in the sky. The mother of Bloodbath looked at the sky and whispered to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan, I have to go to the sky. The mother of Bloodbath knew that Lin Yuan was the Moon Empress disciple. He wanted to fight for the position of the Radiance Envoy. As Lin Yuan's path protector, if a conflict broke out between the Heaven-Blessed Mansion and the Radiance sect because of him, the Radiance sect wouldn't be able to protect the Heaven-Blessed Mansion. It created an irreversible situation. In the Radiance, Lin Yuan was bound to be affected by him. Even if it was hurt, the mother of Bloodbath did not want to affect Lin Yuan. After saying that, the mother of Bloodbath prepared to fly toward the sky. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath felt its palm being held by another pair of warm hands. I'll go with you. What's the matter? I might be able to help. Lin Yuan's words made the mother of Bloodbath's heart burn. He was clearly Lin Yuan's path protector, so why was he acting like this whenever something happened? Why did Lin Yuan protect it more when things happened? Just as the mother of Bloodbath was about to refuse, Lin Yuan continued. This spatial barrier in the sky can even block the sun chain. You definitely won't be able to pass through. I don't have any good ideas. I'll call Uncle Xian and ask him to take us up. At such a time, Lin Yuan did not even think of acting rashly. Behind this spatial energy shield stood a majesty. With Xian Yu around, he could better communicate with Her Holiness. Lin Yuan dialed Xian Yu's number. After explaining the purpose of his visit, Xian Yu did not hesitate for a moment. Xian Yu appeared in the old residence of the Return from Faraway Manor. Looking at the situation in the sky, Xian Yu secretly cursed. Xianyu knew about the Mother of Bloodbath. Previously, the Mother of Bloodbath had successfully passed the world cleansing. Xianyu knew that the people from the Heaven-Blessed Mansion would definitely come knocking. The Heaven-Blessed Mansion was a path that the Moon Empress had paved for the store. However, Xianyu did not expect the people from the Heaven-Blessed Mansion to be so reckless. They charged into the sky above the royal capital, without saying a word. If she had known, she would not have tempered the Dragon Ball. Fortunately, Lin Yuan found her in time. The shield supported by the sacred source life form, the hollow crystal mother shellfish, was very stable. Obviously, there was no conflict yet. If there was a conflict and anger was ignited, Spacetime Oldman's temper would not necessarily give her face. Xianyu glanced at the Mother of Bloodbath, and then said to Lin Yuan, "Young Lord, when used source-type lifeform base paper has reached gold, and obtained a skill called Faceless Paper." Young Lord, when used source-type lifeform base paper has reached gold, and obtained a skill called Faceless Paper. Young Lord, when you will go with me later. There is no need to hide with the Faceless Paper. Your appearance will be exposed to the eyes of all the royal capital residents. Upon hearing Xianyu's words, Lin Yuan took out the faceless paper that Wen Yu had given him. He stuck it on his face. Soon, Lin Yuan turned from a handsome youth to an ordinary person. Xianyu waved her hand, and a dragon carriage formed by spiritual energy appeared. It appeared in the return from faraway manor. 9 silver flood dragons hovered at the front of the carriage, which was formed from mental power. Lin Yuan, who had seen Xianyu's true body, realized that these silver flood dragons' true bodies were very similar to Xianyu's true body. They were very similar to Xianyu's true body. However, they did not have the pair of huge silver wings that Xianyu's true body had. Lin Yuan and the Mother of Bloodbath sat on the dragon carriage, and the 9 dragons flew around. Under the dumbfounded gazes of the royal capital residents, the dragon carriage stopped outside the silver spatial barrier. Xianyu stretched out her hand, and an aura that surpassed the eternal realm flashed. The silver light from Xianyu's palm melted a large hole in the spatial barrier. 9 giant dragons formed from mental energy, directly pulled the dragon carriage through the hole. Everyone in the royal capital looked through the hole. It was as if they saw the pitch-black night, the vast ocean, and the burning sun. The space-time elder had used the hollow crystal mother shellfish to create a spiritual barrier. It was to protect the safety of the people in the Radiance royal capital. Therefore, Elder Time used all his strength and did not hold back at all. Seeing Xianyu at the front of the dragon carriage, Elder Time ignored Blue Lotus and White Phoenix, who were clashing with him with their auras. Chapter 1545. He looked at Xianyu and said, "With Black Moon Emissary's current strength, if he were to leave the Moon Empress and form his own faction, it's enough to achieve the title of His Majesty within 3 years." Xianyu's strength had broken through the eternal realm and reached that level. It had already reached the standard of Lord Radiance. At the same time, Mystic Moon's sacred source life form was one of the 3 sacred source life forms used to construct the star web. It was of great significance to Hui Yao. Therefore, what Old Man Time said was not a compliment to Xianyu. In Father Time's opinion, it might be even shorter. Hui Yao's majesties would no longer be 13, but 14. Xianyu shook her head and said in a serious tone, "Spacetime Holiness, stop joking. I, Black Moon, will forever be a moon envoy under the Moon Empress. I have no intention of becoming your majesty. Your Holiness Spacetime, please do not say such things in the future." Hearing this, Time Lord took a deep look at Xianyu. Back then, because of the Moon Empress, Mystic Moon and Night Leaning Moon, among the Radiant Sex envoys, Mystic Moon and Night Leaning Moon's matter had caused a huge commotion. It caused a huge commotion. In the end, Night Empress took over the Spirit Guards. It ended with the Moon Empress establishing the Radiant Moon Palace. Back then, as the Moon Empress retainer Night, Mystic Moon naturally became the Radiant Moon Palace's Mystic Moon envoy. With the passage of time, Mystic Moon broke through to the Eternal Realm. His loyalty to the Moon Empress was still the same. It seemed like the Radiant Moon Palace would become the only faction in the Radiance sect with 2 powerhouses who had awakened their life providences. The 9 spiritual energy dragons coiled and firmly blocked Lin Yuan. and the mother of bloodbath. Lan Lian and Bai Feng felt that the situation had become more troublesome because of Xian Yu's arrival. However, Xue Shua's eyes seemed to be able to see through the 9 spiraling mental energy dragons. He landed firmly on the left side of the dragon carriage. Through the sun chain's perception, Xue Shua could clearly sense the mother of bloodbath's location. But for some reason, when faced with his son who was right in front of him, he didn't know what to do. Xian Yu actually couldn't muster the courage to touch it. Because up until now, Xue Shua still couldn't be sure that he and Yu Gui had a child. Was it a man or a woman? Lan Lian and Xue Shua were shocked when they sensed the change in Xue Shua's expression. Could it be that the Radiant Moon Palace's Black Moon Envoy sent Xue Shua and big sister Yu Gui's child over? On the dragon chariot, the mother of bloodbath took a deep breath, and a trace of cowardice appeared in its heart. For as long as it could remember, the mother of bloodbath had always been puzzled. Why did the animals have 2 big ones and 1 small one? Why was he the only one who had been alone since birth? The mother of bloodbath was a tarantula, an avian fae that built a nest to protect its chicks. The mother of bloodbath usually did not choose to hunt. Only when facing lone avian fays would the mother of bloodbath hunt them cleanly and neatly. The mother of bloodbath continued to work hard. The birds and single dogs of the Forest of Infinity Edge were basically swallowed into their stomachs. In the process of awakening the favored spirit bloodline, the mother of bloodbath had experienced the test of life and death again and again. In the end, he bathed in the sun chain and was reborn, becoming the sun's favorite. At that time, the mother of bloodbath had confirmed that she still had a blood relative. A silent feeling quietly rose in his heart. This feeling was different from the charming and gentle feelings she had for Lin Yuan. His feelings for Wen Yu Lujia and Endless Summer were also simple and pure. However, this feeling was unusually strong and firm. It was as if the mother of bloodbath's existence had been engraved in its bloodline and genes. Therefore, it was difficult for the mother of bloodbath to not feel perturbed now that it knew that its kin was close at hand. Everyone was afraid that their expectations would be disappointed. Compared to the perturbed feeling, the mother of bloodbath wanted to understand more. Why had it been abandoned back then? He clearly had the bloodline of a chosen spirit. What was the relationship between the celestial corona jade spider that had turned into the radiance lava zone and it? With that thought, the mother of bloodbath jumped down from the dragon carriage. At that moment, Xue Shua's beautiful eyes stared at the mother of bloodbath's face. The moment he saw the mother of bloodbath's face, his bright red and orange gold eyes turned dark red at the same time. A soft cry came out of Xue Shua's mouth subconsciously. Agoi. Xue Shua had never thought that he would see it again one day. That beautiful face that only existed in his memory. Blue Lotus and White Phoenix also looked at the mother of bloodbath. They subconsciously called out, "Big Sister Jade Gui." Lin Yuan and Elder Time were dumbfounded by this situation. However, it was within Xian Yu's expectations. Xian Yu had seen the Jade Gui that Xue Shua, Blue Lotus, and White Phoenix were talking about. The Jade Gui's appearance was almost the same as the current mother of bloodbath. Often, the more powerful a life form's bloodline was, the harder it was to have children. If one was lucky enough to have children, the children would definitely look very similar to the previous generation. The bloodline of the favored spirit could be said to be the noblest existence among fays. Therefore, the mother of bloodbath and the Jade Gui looked the same. It was a matter of course. In Xian Yu's impression, Xue Shua was just a scarlet tarantula that could not even resist the 5-page truth. Xian Yu did not understand how Xue Shua had awakened the celestial corona jade spider bloodline. Furthermore, the celestial corona jade spider bloodline and the scarlet tarantula bloodline had perfectly fused. The first person to react to the mother of bloodbath's appearance was Xue Shua. When Xue Shua saw the mother of bloodbath's face, he immediately thought of the Jade Gui. It evoked dusty memories. However, as a father, Xue Shua was able to determine in a very short time. This was not the Jade Gui, but his and the Jade Gui's daughter, the blood bond. This face that was similar to the Jade Gui had a frosty expression, and there was not even a trace of a smile. The Jade Gui had a personality that loved to smile, and it was rare for it not to smile. The mother of Bloodbath's coldness did not make Shueshua feel unfamiliar or awkward. Instead, it made Shueshua feel more remorseful. He felt even more sorry for the mother of Bloodbath. However, Shueshua soon sensed the blood law power that permeated the mother of Bloodbath's body. It was actually resonating with the person on the right side of the dragon carriage. This meant that his daughter, the blood bond, was using the blood law power. She had made an oath to the person on the left side of the dragon carriage. This discovery made Shueshua's expression suddenly sink. Coincidentally, Lin Yuan jumped down from the dragon carriage at that moment. He immediately met Shueshua's cold eyes. Shueshua's hostility confused Lin Yuan for a moment. Xianyu saw Shueshua's gaze and snorted. Just as she was about to speak, she saw the mother of Bloodbath take a step to the right. It blocked Lin Yuan behind it. Then it walked in front of Shueshua and spoke in a tense voice. "Let's find a place to talk. If you don't mind, I have a lot of questions to ask you." Upon hearing the mother of Bloodbath's words, Shueshua's dark red eyes could no longer hold back. 2 streams of hot tears flowed down his cheeks. How much had his daughter experienced? How much suffering had she been tempered by? Only then could she become so strong. Chapter 1546. Shueshua subconsciously opened his arms and wanted to hug the mother of Bloodbath. He hugged his long-lost daughter. But when he thought about how he had never fulfilled his responsibilities as a father all this time, he couldn't help but sigh. Shueshua's hand froze in midair. He did not know whether to advance or retreat. Shueshua wasn't afraid that the mother of Bloodbath would push him away when he hugged it. He was afraid that his actions would scare the mother of Bloodbath. Looking at the red-haired, red-eyed man, who looked just like him, tears welled up in his eyes. For some reason, the mother of Bloodbath's heart softened. The firm feelings in his heart surged violently like a tsunami. The mother of Bloodbath understood the man's tears. The family in front of him hadn't forgotten him. For such a situation to occur, it was obvious that he had his own difficulties. Otherwise, how could his father travel thousands of miles? He clearly knew that this was very abrupt, but he still rashly flew directly into the sky above the capital. He would never look at her lovingly. Even now, his eyes were still dripping with hot tears. As a fae, especially an arachnid fae that was very apathetic to emotions, it was a rare treasure. The mother of Bloodbath knew that if it wasn't for its emotions rushing over like a tsunami, it wouldn't have been able to survive. No matter how good an arachnid fae's acting skills were, it would not be able to make itself cry. The mother of Bloodbath looked at Shueshua's open hand, which was in a dilemma. He gently stepped forward and gave Shueshua a hug. The mother of Bloodbath's actions startled Shueshua. Shueshua hugged the mother of Bloodbath's waist and laughed wildly. "We found our daughter. I finally found my daughter. Yugui, our child is still alive." Shueshua's outpouring of emotions made the mother of Bloodbath understand even more how important he was to Shueshua. Lan Lian and Bai Feng also had tears in their eyes. On the one hand, he was happy for the safety of the blood. On the one hand, she was happy that she had found Sister Yugui's child. On the other hand, he was happy for Sister Ziqing. If Xueqing could be safely born in the blessed heavens mansion, the one who dotes on Xueqing the most must be big Sister Ziqing. After a long time, Shueshua was finally willing to let go of the mother of Bloodbath's embrace. Blue Lotus said softly to the mother of Bloodbath, "Child, before your mother gave birth to you, she named you Xueqing. She loves you just like your father. If you miss her, you can go to the Radiance's lava field to see her. Every trace of fire element in the lava field is formed from her flesh and blood." These words should have been said by Shueshua to the mother of Bloodbath. However, Blue Lotus did not want Shueshua and the mother of Bloodbath to talk for a while. Whenever the mother of Bloodbath asked, Shueshua would recall. This was too cruel for Shueshua. He might as well tell the mother of Bloodbath everything here. Based on Blue Lotus's understanding, after finding the mother of Bloodbath would not be able to escape. At the very least, you have to let the mother of Bloodbath know that your father and mother never stopped loving you. Only then would the mother of Bloodbath understand. From the beginning to the end, he was not alone. Upon hearing Blue Lotus words, The mother of bloodbath's heart immediately tightened. The legendary Scorpio jade spider that had transformed into a land of lava was indeed his mother. When Lin Yuan heard Blue Lotus's words, his heart was slightly moved. The lava land was formed from the flesh and blood of the mother of bloodbath's mother. The mother of bloodbath's soul must still be in the lava. Upon seeing the mother of bloodbath's reddened eyes, Lin Yuan stepped forward and said, "It's not a big deal. Do you still remember what I told you when you formed a contract with the Myriad Medicine Spring?" Just as Lin Yuan walked forward, the gazes of Blue Lotus, Shueshua, and Bai Feng had already landed on Lin Yuan. All three of them felt a faint connection between Lin Yuan and the mother of bloodbath's blood law. This meant that the mother of bloodbath had made some kind of oath to Lin Yuan. This feeling was like losing a child and finding the child after decades. He found out that his child had become someone else's child bride. Upon hearing that, the mother of bloodbath's eyes suddenly lit up. Looking at Shueshua, Blue Lotus, and White Phoenix's gazes at Lin Yuan, the mother of bloodbath spoke. "He's the one who saved me twice. If not for Lin Yuan, I would have died under the world cleansing when I reached Myth 2. And it's even more impossible for him to have the chance to awaken his bloodline. After reaching Myth 2, he helped me with all the resources I needed to increase my strength, including the preparations to awaken the favored spirit when I advanced from the peak of Myth 2 to Myth 3. XQQXS, when I awakened the favored spirit bloodline, he saved my life several times. I'm his path protector, and he is my benefactor." As it spoke, the mother of bloodbath took a step closer to Lin Yuan. This action of the mother of bloodbath was expressing its stance. Although it did not say anything harsh, it told Shueshua, Blue Lotus, and White Phoenix Lin Yuan's help to it. By taking a step closer to Lin Yuan, it was expressing, "If I have to choose, I will still stand on Lin Yuan's side. I know that I have a father and I know that I have a family. However, if you make him your enemy, we can only live on our own in the future." Shueshua and the other two were surprised by the mother of bloodbath's attitude and determination. They knew that there was a problem with their attitudes. If it was really as the mother of bloodbath said, then this ordinary-looking youth had always been helping the mother of bloodbath. Then her and Yu Gui's child could live to this day and recognize her. It was all thanks to the youth in front of them. This youth was not only the benefactor of her and Yu Gui's child, he was also their benefactor. At the same time, he was the benefactor of the Heaven-Blessed Dojo. After understanding this, Shueshua, Blue Lotus, and White Phoenix immediately looked at Lin Yuan with friendly gazes. Bai Feng immediately plucked at her hair. 3 pitch-black phoenix feathers appeared in Bai Feng's hand. Bai Feng did not say anything and handed the 3 phoenix feathers in her hand to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan was at a loss for a moment. He did not know whether he should accept the 3 bird feathers handed to him by the fishnet uncle. Mystic Moon and Old Man Spacetime looked at each other. Old Man Time was a little envious of Lin Yuan. The Heaven-Blessed Dojo's hall masters seemed to be a little rash, but they were all passionate people. Bai Feng was a narcissist who loved her feathers the most. Now that she had plucked off the phoenix feathers and given them to Lin Yuan, it was enough to show how grateful she was to Lin Yuan. Seeing that Lin Yuan did not accept the phoenix feathers, Bai Feng looked like she wanted to stuff the phoenix feathers into Lin Yuan's hands. Old Man Spacetime could be sure that Bai Feng gave Lin Yuan the phoenix feathers. It was not to thank Lin Yuan for his help to the mother of bloodbath. Instead, it was a subconscious action out of gratitude. The Moon Empress move was really brilliant. She used this method to let her disciple build a relationship with the entire Heaven-Blessed Dojo. Chapter 1547. When Bai Feng saw that Lin Yuan had no intention of asking her to hand over the feather, she looked very anxious. He could not help but say, "Why don't you want my fur? My fur is very useful." An exaggerated expression appeared on Bai Feng's face as she spoke. It was as if he had been insulted. It was as though if Lin Yuan didn't take the feathers, he wouldn't give him face. Bai Feng's reaction made Lin Yuan completely confused. Lin Yuan knew that the strange man in front of him was essentially a favored spirit. Even the mud that was rubbed off the body of the heavenly chosen. This was because the keratin that contained the spirit of heavenly favor was a rare treasure. The black feather plucked from the head of the strange middle-aged man, wearing a fishing net suit, was no exception. If Bai Feng only wanted to give him something, he would not refuse. However, the premise of White Phoenix giving him something was to thank him for helping the mother of Bloodbath. This made Lin Yuan unwilling to accept it. Xue Shua was the mother of Bloodbath's father, and Bai Feng could be said to be the mother of Bloodbath's uncle. However, the mother of Bloodbath was also his Dao protector. Bai Feng's actions were tantamount to taking the initiative to help the mother of Bloodbath feel grateful to him. When he had helped the mother of Bloodbath, he had never thought of repaying it. In his opinion, Bai Feng's actions were tantamount to tarnishing his relationship with the mother of Bloodbath. The mother of Bloodbath had already made its stance clear by standing beside him. Therefore, no matter how one looked at it, Bai Feng's actions were inappropriate. Upon seeing Lin Yuan's ugly expression, Bai Feng immediately reacted. It was true that he had not thought things through. Bai Feng hurriedly pulled it off her head. This time, Bai Feng plucked a lot of hair. A large clump of black silk turned into a handful of black feathers. In the end, Bai Feng waved a hand and transformed the feathers into a black feather fan. Bai Feng said to Lin Yuan solemnly, "This is not a thank you gift. I just want to express my gratitude to you. I might feel better if you took it." This time, Bai Feng's words were very sincere. Upon seeing that Bai Feng's expression did not seem to be fake, Lin Yuan's expression became better. At this moment, Mystic Moon stepped forward. He looked at the folding fan made of bird feathers in Bai Feng's hand and said to Lin Yuan, "Little Highness, since this is his kind intentions, please accept it. Night Leaning Moon really needs this feather that contains the dense power of night." Xianyu wasn't someone who didn't know her limits. At this time, Xianyu actually said this in front of the meeting. It was clear that Night Leaning Moon really needed this black feather. Mystic Moon thought to herself as she looked at the black feather fan in Lin Yuan's hand. It seems like Night Leaning Moon owes Little Highness a huge favor from now on. Night Leaning Moon's two main fays were stuck at that realm. He was unable to take another step forward. The power of night was an extremely rare power. This power was born from the darkness, but it was completely different from the dark elements. Night Leaning Moon wanted to refine the power of night through her sacred source life form. On the other hand, he could convert large amounts of darkness attribute spiritual materials. Although doing so could indeed produce a large amount of night power, it was impossible. However, the power of night created in this way was not pure enough. In the world, those who possessed the purest power of night were the heavenly spirits that belonged to the night. Bai Feng was able to extract the purest power of the night from the darkness. The power of night that Bai Feng usually absorbed was stored in the feathers on her body. There were at least 300 feathers on the feather fan in Lin Yuan's hand. Night Leaning Moon only needed half of the feathers to use the pure power of night in these feathers. She could use her main phase to break through that threshold. If he gave the entire feather fan to Night Leaning Moon, apart from the main phase, Night Leaning Moon's other phase might also be able to borrow its power. She could complete a breakthrough in strength and upgrade her bloodline. It wasn't that Night Leaning Moon didn't have designs on Bai Feng before. Moreover, Night Leaning Moon had indeed sought out Bai Feng and proposed a trade with her. However, Bai Feng was a miser who cherished her feathers as much as her life. Night Leaning Moon had repeatedly proposed to exchange for Bai Feng's feathers, but Bai Feng had rejected her every time. This made Night Leaning Moon very angry. If Night Leaning Moon was a wandering expert who didn't belong to any federation, Night Leaning Moon could have designs on Bai Feng in secret. She could have plucked the feathers from Bai Feng's body. If they really fought, Night Leaning Moon should be slightly stronger than Bai Feng. However, as the Radiance Empress, she belonged to the Radiance Federation. If she rashly found trouble with Bai Feng, it would definitely cause the Radiance Federation and the Heaven-Blessed Mansion to become sworn enemies. Therefore, after so many years, Night Leaning Moon had given up on further plans. Now everything was easily solved. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan didn't insist. Since Bai Feng's feathers were useful to Night Leaning Moon, Bai Feng was also willing to give them. Lin Yuan was willing to fight for a chance for Night Leaning Moon to break through. When Bai Feng saw that Lin Yuan had accepted her feathers, she stood there happily and touched her hair. After feeling that her hair volume had decreased, Bai Feng's face immediately collapsed. The real batch. Bai Feng couldn't help but feel a little regretful. Of all the things that she could give, why did she have to pluck the feathers? However, if Lin Yuan really said it, he would ask Bai Feng for the feathers. No matter how unwilling Bai Feng was, she still had to give them. Lan Lian looked at Bai Feng, who looked dispirited. He walked in front of Lin Yuan and placed his palm on Lin Yuan's forehead. Then, Lin Yuan felt as though his whole body was soaked in an ice spring. The water elements kept gathering around him, making Lin Yuan feel abnormally comfortable. A blue lotus pattern appeared on Lin Yuan's forehead. Each petal of this lotus pattern was like a wave that was like a cicada's wing. Blue Lotus said softly to Lin Yuan, "I gave you a blue sea blessing. I gave you a blessing of the blue sea. With the protection of the blessing of the blue sea. As long as you are in a place with water elements, the water elements will automatically protect you. In the water, you can breathe freely. Powerful water-type phase might not have a good impression of you. But there won't be any phase made of water element energy that will take the initiative to attack you. For 10 years, the water element will be your best friend." Blue Lotus's words made Mystic Moon's eyebrows jump. He didn't expect that the Blue Lotus would give Lin Yuan a chance to become the eternal favored spirit. She could only use the Blue Sea blessing once every 10 years. For 10 years, the water element would be Lin Yuan's most intimate partner. If it was a water-type Fae and Blue Lotus had used the Blue Sea blessing. If it was a water-type Fae and Blue Lotus had used the Blue Sea blessing, then it would not consume any spiritual materials and would not work hard. In 10 years it would be able to transform from normal to human form. Even if it was a water-type Fae with poor aptitude, it could become a myth under the Blue Sea blessing. When faced with a water-type Fae with excellent aptitude and willing to work hard, with the protection of the Blue Sea blessing for 10 years, it was not impossible to become a creation Fae. Blue Lotus and White Phoenix's actions made Mystic Moon and Elder Spacetime feel the Blue Lotus's Blue Sea blessing. How sincere they were. Chapter 1548. In his opinion, the Blue Sea blessing did not have much effect on him. The princess with the sacred sword in her arms, the princess robe engraved into the vast water world. Aquatic phase below the creation breed used water elemental energy to attack him. He could resist the sacred sword-wielding queen's water element resistance. Furthermore, Lin Yuan was not an aquatic Fae. The Blue Sea blessing could not allow him to rapidly increase his strength like a water-type Fae. However, it could make his skin more moisturized and better. In his opinion, the Blue Sea blessing was only slightly useful. The Blue Sea blessing was probably the only thing that could prevent him from receiving hostility from aquatic Faes. As a matter of fact, not all of the Faes that used the water element as their source of energy lived in water. Some terrestrial Faes could also use water as their source of energy. It could be said that in the eyes of these Faes, within 10 years, Lin Yuan would be the most fragrant cake. When it came to Shueshua did not take out anything. Instead, he looked at Lin Yuan and said very sincerely, "You are my daughter's savior, so you are also my savior." After saying that, Shueshua pointed to the sun above his head. The 8 sun chains descended from the sun. Shueshua said solemnly, standing between the 8 winding suns. "I, Shueshua, swear by the sun. For the rest of my life, I will be Lin Yuan's protector." Shueshua's words stunned the mother of Bloodbath, Lin Yuan, the Spacetime Elder, and Mystic Moon. The mother of Bloodbath was shocked that her father was doing this for the sake of her savior. He was actually willing to sacrifice the rest of his life. Just from this, the mother of Bloodbath knew how much Shueshua loved her. On the other hand, Mystic Moon and the Spacetime Elder were shocked by the fact that the Hall Master of the Heaven's Blessed Mansion, one of the top factions in the Origin world, was the Heaven's Blessed Mansion. How could Shueshua swear on the celestial phenomenon of the Sea Clan so easily? In the eyes of Mystic Moon and the Spacetime Elder, this was an extremely reckless action. No matter how grateful he was, his status was still there. According to Mystic Moon and the Spacetime Elder's understanding, when one stood in a certain position and took on a certain identity, the Spacetime Elder would not be able to control himself. He couldn't do things as he pleased. However, Blue Lotus and White Phoenix did not stop Shueshua. Instead, the expression on his face was very normal. This made Mystic Moon and the Spacetime Elder realize how casual the blessed spirits were. How sentimental. No wonder it was rumored that after the death of the celestial Corona Jade Spider, the Grand Master of the Blessed Heaven Dojo, Ziqing, risked half her life and went to the Pagoda Cannon alone, killing the fate page of the Pagoda Cannon. Lin Yuan scratched his head awkwardly. The Mother of Bloodbath was his path protector, and Shueshua had also become his path protector. If that was the case, then Blood Beginning and the Mother of Bloodbath would have to fight. Wouldn't they become colleagues? Shueshua, who had made an oath with the sun, arrived in front of Lin Yuan and said, "Let's go. I can see that Xiaoqing will never leave you. I might as well become your protector to thank you for saving little Qing's life, and for helping her so many times. Thank you. From now on, I will do my best to protect you on your journey on the wind." Shueshua looked at Lan Lian, and Baifeng as he spoke. "When you go back, help me tell Sister Ziqing that I won't be returning to Heaven-Blessed Mansion within 100 years. Shueshua had made it clear that he wanted to protect Lin Yuan for 100 years. The one who was the most excited was Xianyu. A Heaven's Blessed Mansion master became Lin Yuan's protector. From today onwards, Lin Yuan was bound to the Heaven-Blessed Mansion. Furthermore, this bond was very strong. Xianyu could see that Shueshua was a blessed spirit that had achieved eternal. Although Shueshua's aura was much weaker than Lan Lian and Baifeng's. However, a blessed spirit had achieved eternal, and an ordinary fae had achieved eternal. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. A blessed spirit that had just achieved eternal had the strength to crush a pinnacle eternal fae. A pinnacle eternal fae could even go toe-to-toe with an eternal fae. The special nature of a blessed spirit was the Heaven-Blessed Mansion's confidence. It was also the fundamental reason why the Heaven-Blessed Mansion could stand proudly in the world and become a faction on par with the three major federations. Among the three major federations, the Heaven-Blessed Mansion's reputation was not inferior to the Pagoda Cannon. Given the blessed spirit's unity and unwavering personality, Shueshua had become Lin Yuan's protector. Lan Lian and Baifeng had acknowledged Lin Yuan. Lan Lian and Baifeng's attitude was enough to represent the other blessed spirits. Looking at Spacetime Elder, who was commanding the ethereal mother shellfish, Xianyu said, "Lord Spacetime, there's nothing for you to do here. Right now, one of the hall masters of the blessed dojo has become the protector of our young highness. This is a private matter of our Radiant Moon Palace. I'll bring them to the Leaning Moon Mountain. There's no need for them to wait in the Ascending Dragon City." The Spacetime Elder curled his lips. Damn it. The mysterious moon emissary was telling this old man to get lost. If it were any other time, Elder Spacetime would definitely argue with Mystic Moon. But now, Xianyu had also reached that level. The Spacetime old man scoffed. The Moon Empress has yet to come out of seclusion, but she brought all the people from the Heaven-Blessed Dojo to the Leaning Moon Mountain. Isn't it against the rules for the host to host a banquet without going out? Mystic Moon patted Lin Yuan's shoulder and said, "Your Highness is also our Radiant Moon Palace's palace master." With the young lord around, even if the Moon Empress doesn't come out of seclusion, there are no guests that cannot be entertained. It just so happens that Night Leaning Moon is also on Leaning Moon Mountain. If you want to thank someone, you can thank Night Leaning Moon first. The Spacetime Elder was slightly surprised at Lin Yuan's position in Mystic Moon's heart. The Spacetime Elder never expected that Mystic Moon would think so highly of Lin Yuan. She had moved Lin Yuan to a position comparable to the Moon Empress. Her disciple had already grown to a level where he could hold his own. Meanwhile, his granddaughter had not even tamed a sacred source life form. She could only seal the sacred source life form and undergo training. With that thought, the Spacetime Elder waved his hand and recalled the ethereal mother shellfish. With a flick of his sleeve, he returned to the Hump Valley where Ostrich Logistics was located. Although the Spacetime Elder had left, the cover in the sky was still there. Dense spiritual energy formed a curtain that covered the sky. It covered the figures of Mystic Moon, Lin Yuan, Shueshua and the others. The Mother of Bloodbath forcibly suppressed the throbbing in its heart, and did not tell Shueishuo that Lin Yuan had revived its mother. This was because this matter was too important to its father, Shueishuo. It was too important. The mother of Bloodbath could not bear to let its father have hope. Not long after, the hope in its heart would once again be dashed. This would undoubtedly cause a second injury to its father. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath saw Lin Yuan give it a look. The mother of Bloodbath immediately knew that Lin Yuan intended to take it to the field to see the situation. They wanted to see if they could collect its mother's soul before making further plans. Right at this moment, even though it was noon, a full moon suddenly appeared in the sky. Chapter 1549. At that moment, thousands of moonlight chains descended from the bright moon. They smashed the 8 sun chains that Shueishuo had led down. A wolf-like howl came from the direction of the radiant moon palace. It resounded over the entire royal capital. This howl was neither cunning nor violent. It was clearly a howl, but it sounded very cold. There was a trace of arrogance in the coldness. This howl made the other high lords look in the direction of the radiant moon palace at the same time. In the palace of cooking incense, an old man was so angry that he was glaring. He shouted at a middle-aged man, "Li Zhonglin, I'm not just your master. You married my daughter, and you still have to call me father. Look at what you've done. I only have 1 sow left of my kitchen spirit fragrant pig. You've taken all the other kitchen spirit fragrant pigs. Where do you want me to find a boar to breed with? Are you going to breed with it?" Hearing the old man's angry roar, the middle-aged man pouted and said, "Master, you have to say this every time you see me. Master, you have to say this to me every time you meet me. Isn't it all in the past now?" The old man felt a little dizzy from anger. "It's all in the past? I thought it was all in the past. But why did you fucking uproot all my 7 revolution citronella?" The middle-aged man said matter-of-factly, "Master, the Radiance 100 sequence test is coming soon. I plan to practice a few more specialties and cook a table for little Yuan. That child's parents are no longer around. Jiao Jiao and I never had a child. Little Lin Yuan and little Chu Xiai are no different from our children. We watched them grow up." At the mention of Lin Yuan, Chef Supreme stopped talking. Usually Chef Supreme would say, "You can cook for whoever you want. You can cook for whomever you like. But why did you use my 7 revolution citronella? After eating the spirit fragrant pig, I didn't expect that my 7 revolution citronella would be uprooted one day." However, because of Lin Yuan, Zhongzhe suppressed his bad luck. And in the future, it was very likely that the bad luck would be completely eliminated. Chef Supreme had a total of 3 disciples. The first disciple was unruly, and the second only knew how to open a restaurant chain. Supreme Chef placed all his hopes on Zhongzhe. Therefore, Chef Supreme kept Lin Yuan's help in his heart. At this moment, a wolf howl rang in Supreme Chef's ears. Supreme Chef narrowed his eyes and sighed. The Moon Empress favored spirit, the Saint Weeping Moon Beast, has actually broken through to that realm. Now there is finally a second heavenly chosen spirit in the origin world that has crossed that threshold. At this point, Supreme Chef put his hand on his beard and gently stroked it. He was deep in thought. When the Holy Weeping Moon Beast was with the Moon Empress, it wasn't outstanding among the heaven-blessed dojo's many dojo lords. The Moon Empress' help was definitely related to him being able to reach this stage. It seemed like the Moon Empress creation master standard had improved tremendously. The younger generation will surpass us in time. However, he also had a unique skill that he had yet to reveal. It must be the same with Bamboo Monarch. Everyone was concealing their strength, not revealing it. But at the crucial moment, this group of old friends would always surprise each other. He was surprisingly reliable. The bright moon represented the Moon Empress. This was common knowledge in the hearts of all Radiance people. For the past 10 years, the bright moon in the sky rarely moved. It was only in the recent year that the bright moon in the sky started to move more often. But now, the moonlight was falling on the royal capital. This was the first time that the royal capital was wrapped in thousands of moonlight ribbons. Many people on the street had already raised their hands and shouted for the Moon Empress. Lin Yuan and Mystic Moon's faces were filled with joy. The moon in the sky was changing, which meant that the Moon Empress should be out of seclusion. At this moment, Lin Yuan's phone rang. Lin Yuan looked at his phone and saw that it was his master, the Moon Empress. Lin Yuan quickly picked up the phone. The Moon Empress said softly, "Little Yuan, master is out of seclusion. Little Yuan, master is out of seclusion. When do you have time to come to the Radiant Moon Palace? Master has prepared delicious food for you." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan revealed a bright smile on his face. His small white teeth dazzled Mystic Moon a little. "Master, I am with Uncle Mystic. We are preparing to go over. There are also a few heaven-blessed dojo masters here. They say they want to visit you at the Radiant Moon Palace. The mother of Bloodbath's father is among them." When the Moon Empress heard that, she knew that she was in seclusion. The mother of Bloodbath had successfully awakened the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline in its body. Shueshua had rushed over by sensing the bloodline. He knew that the mother of Bloodbath was his long-lost daughter. It seemed that his initial plan for Lin Yuan as a path protector had succeeded. He raised his hand and looked at the moonlight that had condensed into a moonlight scepter. The Moon Queen shook her head. Previously, the Moon Empress knew that her days were numbered. Therefore, he put in a lot of effort to plan for Lin Yuan. But now that crescent moon finally collapsed. The Moon Empress didn't dare to say that there wasn't anyone stronger than her in this world. Even the other majesties of the Huiyao Empire had their own trump cards. No one could say who was stronger and who was weaker if they didn't use their full strength, until it was a matter of life and death. Now even if the Moon Empress did not plan anything for Lin Yuan, she could not help him. It could still allow Lin Yuan to walk on equal footing with Blue Moon. Although she had such confidence, when the Moon Empress encountered a fortuitous encounter, she would definitely not be able to do so. She still wouldn't stop planning for Lin Yuan. It was unknown if it was the urgency of having only 3 years of lifespan that affected the Moon Empress, or after accepting Lin Yuan as a disciple, her responsibility as a master affected the Moon Empress. In short, the Moon Empress found the most suitable path to be Lin Yuan's master. In the Moon Empress' opinion, this path was very simple. Lin Yuan had his own adventurous nature. He didn't like to rely on others. As his master, she only needed to be strong enough to be Lin Yuan's backer forever. At that moment, a huge white wolf was crawling at the Moon Empress' feet. The wolf's fur was slender, light, and full of moonlight. The wolf's eyes were like 2 bright moons, and there were 2 clear blue tear grooves. A little rabbit was standing on top of the wolf's head. It was gnawing on the carrot. As it gnawed, its aura was constantly rising. A flickering fluorescent lattice flew out from the top of the little rabbit's head. For a moment, surging power poured out of the Radiant Moon Palace. Just as this aura was about to pierce the sky, the Moon Empress stretched out her hand and rotated her fingers. Tens of thousands of moonlight chains extended endlessly from the sky. They fell into the Radiant Moon Palace, wrapping the entire Radiant Moon Palace into a cocoon. Inside the cocoon, the Moon Empress spoke to the Moonlight Wolf. "Holy Weeping Moon Beast, release your aura to your heart's content and shine with the bright moon." After taking this step, as long as you can take another step forward, you can also be like Zishi and manifest your life providence. As she spoke, the Moon Empress sighed. The Moon Empress did not expect Zishi to be affected by her breakthrough on top of its original foundation. She took another step forward. Even Zishi's sacred source life form was enhanced. Chapter 1550. Zishi's breakthrough in strength was not just the Moon Empress' confidence. At the same time, it was Huiyao's trump card. In particular, he found out from the phone that the 3 heaven-blessed mansion masters were in the capital. Thus, the Moon Empress made a move to suppress Zishi's aura. When the Holy Weeping Moon Beast heard the Moon Empress command, it let out another howl. Holy Wolf howls to the moon. At that moment, everyone in the Radiance Royal Capital saw a huge wolf head phantom appear behind Mingyu. 2 streaks of azure tears flowed out of the crescent-shaped eyes of the giant wolf. Like a stream, it filled her tears and flowed towards the bright moon. It was as if these tears had gathered to form the bright moon in the sky. The bright moon became even brighter under the giant wolf's tears. In an instant, the moonlight around the bright moon seemed to burn intensely. A large amount of moonlight turned into flames, completely covering the radiance of the sun. The moonlight flames flowed back into the giant wolf's eyes, burning them. Then, the color of the giant wolf's eyes slowly darkened. Finally, it turned into a dark gold color. 3 crescent moons rotated in the giant wolf's eyes. It was as if a day had passed as the bright moon rotated in the giant wolf's eyes. Lin Yuan, who was staring into the behemoth's eyes, felt as though the bright moon was rotating in the behemoth's eyes. He felt as if he had aged. But soon the crescent moon in the giant beast's eyes reversed. The 3 crescent moons converged into a full moon. At that moment, everyone in Huiyao felt that their vitality had been replenished. Even his body became more and more energetic. Xianyu said softly, "The holy weeping lunar beast has activated full moon's gaze." Under the gaze of the full moon stare, everyone has absorbed a drop of the holy weeping moon beast's tear. The 10,000 tears of the weeping holy moon beast are the main ingredient for 1 moon dew recovery pill. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan was about to lament how many moon dew revival pills this was equivalent to giving away. Bai Feng sighed in shock. "This is impossible. Even Holy Weep's talent is inferior to mine. How could Holy Sob reach Sister Ziqing's level?" Lan Lian sighed faintly. "Bai Feng, you still bear grudges. Back then, Saint Weep left the Blessed Paradise Mansion in order to find a better future for himself. I don't want to be limited by my talent and be mediocre all my life." Holy Sob willingly followed the Moon Empress. Now that Holy Sob has really obtained an opportunity from the Moon Empress, we should be happy for big sister Holy Sob. When you were young, Sister Holy Weep plucked your hair. But isn't that because your hair was stained with the ice mist's cold devouring mist? If you don't pluck that strand of hair that has been contaminated by the devouring cold mist, you'll definitely fall sick. Shueshua did not know Holy Weep. This was because when Shueshua joined the Blessed Mansion, Holy Sob was no longer there. Shueshua could feel the moonlight released by the moon in the sky. He had completely blocked the communication between himself and the sun. And this was under the condition that Yuhua didn't target him. Shueshua wasn't sure. Could the sun still send down the sun chain? Shueshua felt that even if he could, he was afraid that it would be like a chain descending from the sun. It should only be as thick as a finger. Previously, Shueshua had always felt that the radiance of the sun in the sky would always suppress the moon. But now, it seemed that this was not the case. This allowed Shueshua to see his future and the path he was going to take. This was because Shueshua could feel that the blessed spirit Holy Weeping Moon Beast was not communicating with the moon. It was letting the moon descend its power. Instead, it was on the same level as the moon. It was shining with the moon. The power triggered by the blessed spirit Holy Weeping's breakthrough would be rewarded by the whole world. Big Sister Ziqing must already know about Holy Sob's situation, and be happy for Holy Sob. At this moment, all kinds of gales gathered at Radiance, which had become the gathering place of the gales. This was a situation that all the major factions had intentionally created by chance and coincidence. Before arriving at Radiance, Shueshua, Blue Lotus, and White Phoenix were cleaning up the Tower Cannon's stronghold. They received news that experts from the Tower Cannon were rushing to Radiance. The Tower Cannon and the Freedom Federation were both enemies of Radiance. If these 2 parties gathered together, they would not cause trouble in Radiance. This was obviously impossible. Perhaps the 2 parties would even join forces. The Azure Federation's current stance was unknown. The main purpose of the Blessed Mansion coming to Radiance was to find the new blessed spirit Holy Weeping Moon Beast that could absorb the weather. Secondly, it was to help Shueshua find his lost daughter. Now the mother of Bloodbath had been found. Their remaining goal seemed to be to find the blessed spirit Holy Weeping Moon Beast. However, facing the people from the Tower Cannon, Blue Lotus, White Phoenix, and Shueshua would definitely find it. They would fight to the death. The already chaotic situation was now suppressed by the phenomenon of the Holy Weeping Moon Beast breaking through to the Eternal Realm and shining with the moon. A blessed spirit Holy Weeping Moon Beast above the Eternal Realm was already a peak expert in the world. However, this blessed spirit Holy Weeping Moon Beast did not belong to the Blessed Mansion, but to the Moon Empress. With the Holy Weeping Moon Beast in the open, this chaotic situation was destined to be suppressed. However, the calmer the water, the deeper the undercurrent. It was unknown what kind of changes this deep and calm water would bring to Radiance. At this moment, the moonlight chains that had wrapped the radiant moon palace into a cocoon had already dissipated. The holy weeping moon beast, which was looked up to by all the experts in the world, was trembling in front of a little white rabbit. The last ray of purple intent was restrained by Zixi into her eyes. Zixi flicked her ears and placed the carrot in a safe position behind her. Then she used her little tail to gently cover the carrot leaf. Zixi had done this because she had learned from the Moon Empress that Lin Yuan was coming. Previously, when facing Lin Yuan, Zixi could completely ignore him. However, Lin Yuan had saved the Moon Empress, whose lifespan was short, and brought her a lifespan rat. He had also taken out pure spirit chi that even the Moon Empress could not concoct. It was also because of the pure spirit chi that Lin Yuan had taken out that Zixi could improve further. Thus, if Lin Yuan really asked Zixi for the carrot, Zixi really had no way to refuse. At this moment, someone knocked on the Moon Empress' bedroom door. Night Leaning Moon walked in. Night Leaning Moon looked at the Moon Empress and said, "Congratulations. Congratulations, looks like we were worried for nothing. You have succeeded in taking that step. Your lifespan crisis has been resolved." As she spoke, Night Leaning Moon's voice gradually became choked. If someone said that she was the chief guard of the spirit guards, the stone-faced Night Leaning Moon would choke. Even if other High Lords heard it, they would definitely treat it as a joke or a rumor. However, in front of the Moon Empress, Night Leaning Moon shed all her coldness. Just like back then, when the Moon Empress and Night Leaning Moon became Radiance envoys together. It was the same when Night Leaning Moon congratulated the Moon Empress. It was just that back then, she was not mature enough and made a fool of herself. Just as Night Leaning Moon was reminiscing about the past, she heard the Moon Empress smile gently at her. "Qingyue, thank you for guarding me in the Radiant Moon Palace. You helped me suppress my aura when I was breaking through." Night Leaning Moon looked at the Moon Empress smile in a daze. It was just like when she was young and looked at the Moon Empress smile in a daze. End of this chapter. Chapter 1551. On top of the head of a sea snake that was nearly a kilometer long, a little lowly and girl next door attire sat there. The little lowly looked at the phantom wolf head behind the moon. The expression on his face became solemn. Behind the little lowly stood an uncle who gave off the feeling that he was exceptionally righteous. The uncle looked down at the little lowly and snorted. Second page revival. The Moon Empress Holy Weeping Moon Beast has broken through to the Eternal Realm. Can you defeat the Holy Weeping Moon Beast above the Eternal Realm? Don't forget how the Page of Destiny was killed by that old fox from the Heaven-Blessed Mansion. After all, when the Page of Destiny died, you were the only one by his side. Hearing this, the little lowly stood up. Her eyes instantly turned gray, and a gray mist filled with the aura of death emanated from her body. A pair of gray wings extended from the little lowly's back. The giant sea snake under her feet was infected by the aura of death. In an instant, its flesh and blood melted, turning into ghastly white bones that fell to the bottom of the sea. Second page revival said coldly. Sixth page whip. I don't want to talk to you anymore. You just need to follow Crimson Page's instructions and activate the Black Mass Cup in the Radiance. You don't need to do anything else. The Page of Destiny was killed by Ziqing, but that doesn't mean I'm afraid of the Holy Weeping Moon Beast. The 4 horsemen have left the Renaissance Tower and are on their way to the Radiance. The Tower Cannon has already planted the seed of the Hibernators' revival. Due to the conflict between the Freedom Federation and the Radiance Federation, they took the initiative to contact the Tower Cannon. Second page revival paused for a moment before continuing. Sixth page whip. Before activating the Black Mass Cup, you will hide among the Freedom Federation's envoys. I will act on my own and find out where the seeds of the Gardener Konjac are. Sixth page whip said with a gloomy expression. The seeds and ramets of the Gardener Konjac have disappeared. This means that something big must have happened to the whale ocean trade. Second page revival. You always said that 7th page war is incompetent. But your plan for the Radiance Federation is not as successful as 7th page war. At the very least, 7th page War successfully used the sacred source lifeform to open the dimensional rift in the Radiance Federation C region. Lashing page 6 Sword stabbed right into page 2's sore spot. 2nd page Revival flapped the wings on his back and moved away from 6th page whipping in a flash. Seeing this, 6th page's whip didn't chase after him. Instead, he stood in place, waiting for the arrival of the Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission. Looking at the turbulent sea, 6th page whipping had a feeling that something was amiss. He was clearly one of the 8 pages of the pagoda cannon. But why did he always feel like there was a pair of large hands behind his back, controlling him? Moreover, ever since Crimson Page appeared, Second Renaissance Page's attitude towards Crimson Page had changed. It was really interesting. It was as if he had become a lackey of Crimson Page. He almost called out to Scarlet Page. Suddenly, a sly smile appeared on 6th page Whipping's face as he muttered, "I can't understand the pagoda manual anymore. Why must the 8 pages of the pagoda cannon stand on the pagoda cannon's side during this gathering? I want to see what the 2nd page of Revival is planning. Who exactly is Scarlet Page?" Thinking of this, the 6th page Whip didn't continue to wait for the Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission to arrive. Instead, he chose another direction and headed toward Huiyao alone. In the Freedom Temple, the Holy Weeping Moon Beast had broken through to the Eternal Realm because of the moon phenomenon. It was a rare occasion for the Freedom Federation to have 9 people gathered together. Before the service, the 9 men held a meeting. Du Miao frowned as he looked at the sky and the illusory wolf head behind the moon. Huiyao now has one more pinnacle powerhouse. The Blessed Dojo will definitely use this opportunity to contact Huiyao. With the Holy Weeping Lunar Beast in the middle, the Radiance Federation and the Heaven Blessed Dojo might form an alliance. I heard from the diplomatic mission that the Azure Federation is unwilling to cooperate with our Freedom Federation. Ever since the world was divided, there hasn't been a change in 1,000 years. We should take action against Huiyao in advance. The other majesties fiddled with the items in their hands and pondered. Currently, the Freedom Federation and the Radiance Federation had a 2-year agreement. Now that the Radiance Glory's peak combat power had been strengthened, it wouldn't benefit the Freedom Federation at all. Thus, the Freedom Federation had to take action. However, it was necessary to discuss what kind of method to take. Since the previous conflict, only Du Miao had fought against Huiyao in the past 10 years. Du Miao used the sacred source life form, Boiling Platycodon, to activate a big move above Huiyao. It triggered the volcano phenomenon. In the end, it was stopped by the Radiance Federation. It could be said that most of Huiyao's hatred was concentrated on Du Miao. Thus, all the majesties were waiting for Du Miao to make the first suggestion. This way, Du Miao would have to bear most of the expenses of this operation against Huiyao. The Freedom Federation prioritized private interests. Every meeting before the week was a game of resources. Seeing that the others had no intention of responding to him, Du Miao's face revealed anger. "If you guys don't want to interfere in this matter, I won't bother either. However, don't regret the Myriad States Convention in 2 years." At that moment, a middle-aged man in a red robe spoke. As for the Radiance Federation's layout in 2 years, it has already been arranged during the previous meeting. Du Miao doesn't need to worry about the rest of us. The experts of the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids clan have already left for the Radiance sect. The Radiance sect will definitely not let this matter go lightly. Du Miao, I'm afraid that all the resources you've invested in the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids clan will be wasted. When the man spoke, his face revealed a gloating expression. When Du Miao heard that, his pupils constricted. Last time, he decided to bring the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids to the Freedom Federation's seas to recuperate. This indeed involved the interests of the others. But Du Miao didn't think that the others would actually hold a grudge. He didn't even know the contents of the meeting afterwards. But Du Miao didn't mind not knowing this. Everyone here is the Freedom Federation's majesty, sitting together on this seat. Not everyone could trip him up just because of a few words directed at him. However, a new pinnacle expert had clearly appeared on the Radiance's side. However, not only did these people's expressions not change at all, there was even a hint of confidence and cunning in him. This made Du Miao a little curious. What kind of tricks did the others come up with in the last discussion? Lin Yuan and Xian Yu had already returned to the Radiant Moon Palace. Xue Shua, Bai Feng, and Lan Lian wanted to thank the Moon Empress for helping the Jade Gui previously, and for saving the Mother of Bloodbath's life. They walked step by step from the foot of the Leaning Moon Mountain to the Radiant Moon Palace. They didn't choose to fly high in the sky. Chapter 1552. The location of the heaven's blessed abode was the world's most auspicious paradise. But when they arrived at the Leaning Moon Mountain, they looked at the surrounding phase and spiritual ingredients. They looked at the grass spring water that flowed through the entire Leaning Moon Mountain. Blue Lotus, Bai Feng, and Xue Shua realized. The man-made landscape wasn't as harmonious as the natural landscape, but it wasn't inferior to the natural landscape. Sometimes, it even survived a calamity. This was because it used the unique means of a Class 5 creation master. Bai Feng now understood why Holy Sob insisted on staying by the Moon Empress side. By staying by the Moon Empress side, he could frequently receive the nourishment of pure spirit qi. In addition, the Moon Empress' other phase were also related to the moon. These must be the fundamental reasons why Holy Sob was able to cross that hurdle despite his mediocre aptitude. The Moon Empress was seething with anger. Night Leaning Moon was talking to the Moon Empress about the recent whale ocean trade. The Moon Empress didn't expect that Lin Yuan would personally face danger while she was in seclusion. Fortunately, everything went smoothly. Lin Yuan used his own method to control Di Wanmi's body and obtained a Class 5 creation master. Night Leaning Moon looked at the Moon Empress' angry face and said, "When I first met Lin Yuan, I felt that he was overly strong. From Wuxia, I knew that Lin Yuan was a person who liked to do everything by himself. I always thought that such a person was good, but it was easy for unnecessary accidents to occur in important matters. But after the previous contact, I realized that I underestimated Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan's focus is on his own requirements. When facing a major matter, Lin Yuan was not sure if he could handle it, so he immediately contacted Night Leaning Moon. When I reported this matter to the Imperial Court, I didn't mention that Lin Yuan controlled Di Wanmi. You're Lin Yuan's master, and now you're out of seclusion. How to resolve it depends on you." When the Moon Empress heard Night Leaning Moon praising Lin Yuan, she revealed a proud smile. But when she heard that Night Leaning Moon didn't report to the Imperial Court about Lin Yuan controlling Di Wanmi, the Moon Empress looked at Night Leaning Moon deeply and said, "Qingyue, I owe you a favor. As for little Yuan, I plan to let him develop freely according to his original wishes. As his master, all I have to do is to protect him. Why must I interfere? Therefore, how should this matter be finally decided? I plan to let little Yuan decide for himself." Although she said that, the Moon Empress had already guessed his choice. At this stage, what he should really do was to increase his strength. As such, the Moon Empress did not advocate for Lin Yuan to show off too much. Otherwise, when Lin Yuan had used the Radiant Moon Palace as a pretense to obtain the Golden Lotus brocade, the Radiant Moon Palace would not have been able to do so. The Moon Empress would not help Lin Yuan agree to it. The Moon Empress knew how capable her disciple was. Even if he broke through as a creation master, the pure spirit qi that Lin Yuan had given him would not be able to help him. But he still couldn't concoct it. Therefore, the Moon Empress' expectations for Lin Yuan were no longer limited to the Radiance Envoy. At that moment, the Moon Empress sensed Lin Yuan's aura coming from outside the palace. The Moon Empress interrupted Night Leaning Moon's words and spoke softly. "My disciple has arrived. Wait for me here, I'll bring my disciple in first." The Moon Empress' words stunned Night Leaning Moon. Night Leaning Moon had never thought that the Moon Empress would take the initiative to welcome someone at the door. However, Night Leaning Moon didn't know that this was not the first time the Moon Empress had done so. Lin Yuan, who had just arrived at the Radiant Moon Palace's entrance, was talking to Mystic Moon. "Uncle Mystic, the 3 Heaven-Blessed Dojo's Hall Lords will be visiting Master in a while. I plan to take the Mother of Bloodbath out for a trip. I'll come back later." Mystic Moon didn't dare to reply. If he said yes, His Highness would leave. What if the Moon Empress looked for His Highness after the discussion? If His Highness wasn't around, wouldn't he be the scapegoat? However, Mystic Moon knew that Lin Yuan would go out with the Mother of Bloodbath at this juncture. There must be something important. Just as Mystic Moon was thinking about how to answer, he felt the Moon Empress aura. Mystic Moon heaved a sigh of relief and thought to himself, His Highness, you should talk to the Moon Empress yourself. The Moon Empress had obviously heard Lin Yuan's words. When she got close, she whispered to Lin Yuan, Go. No matter what time you come back tonight, Master will be waiting for you to have dinner together. For some reason, it hadn't been a long time since they last met. The Moon Empress, who had just come out of seclusion, wanted to see Lin Yuan the most. The Moon Empress wasn't good at expressing her feelings. Now that she saw him, she didn't have much to say. However, as long as she saw Lin Yuan, she would feel a sense of peace for no reason. When he arrived at the inner palace, Lin Yuan immediately saw Night Leaning Moon, who was drinking tea at the tea table. Lin Yuan gave Night Leaning Moon a junior's salute. Then, he took out the feather fan that Bai Feng had given him and handed it to his master, the Moon Empress. Lin Yuan was a junior, so he directly gave it to Night Leaning Moon. Night Leaning Moon might really bow to thank him. However, Lin Yuan couldn't accept Night Leaning Moon's salute openly. Therefore, it was most suitable to give this feather fan to the Moon Empress. When the time came, it would be up to her to decide whether to give it to Night Leaning Moon. The moment Lin Yuan took out the feather fan, Night Leaning Moon felt the dense power of night on it. Night Leaning Moon's heart began to beat violently. As he stared at the black feather fan in the Moon Empress' hand, the corners of his mouth twitched. Night Leaning Moon immediately recognized that this was the feather of the Heaven-Blessed Abode's Hall Mistress, Bai Feng. It was also because he didn't succeed when he asked for it previously. He also had to take into consideration the Radiance Federation's Night Empress identity, and could not snatch it. The Moon Empress was also stunned when Lin Yuan took out the black feather fan. Then, a bright smile appeared on her face. Then, he walked towards Night Leaning Moon and said, Qingwei, you saw it too. Little Yuan gave this to me. Take it. There's still some time before the Radiance 100 sequence selection. Let me give you some pure spirit qi. You must be in the 100 sequence. I will definitely be able to complete the breakthrough. Upon hearing that, Night Leaning Moon took the black feather fan from the Moon Empress. She walked to Lin Yuan's side and gently said, Thank you. Then he disappeared from the Radiant Moon Palace. Then, a wisp of darkness entered the land of spiritual suppression. Night Leaning Moon immediately went into seclusion in the land of spirit suppression. When Lin Yuan heard Night Leaning Moon thank him, he reached out and scratched the back of his head. Fortunately, Night Leaning Moon left quickly. Otherwise, Lin Yuan couldn't possibly reply, You're welcome. The Moon Empress understood Night Leaning Moon the best. Therefore, she knew how heavy the meaning behind Night Leaning Moon's soft thank you was. At that moment, Blue Lotus, Bai Feng, and Xue Shua brought the Mother of Bloodbath. They were already standing respectfully at the entrance of the Radiant Moon Palace. They were smelling the fragrance of the silver stamen gold luster cassia. Chapter 1553. Lan Lian, Bai Feng, and Xue Shua exchanged glances. They all discovered the extraordinariness of the silver auspicious gold luster cassia. They were clearly just two fantasy breed plant phase. However, there were clear signs of consciousness manifesting, especially when he saw Lan Lian. The two silver auspicious gold luster cassias swayed their silver stamen golden flowers, sending more fragrance to the Blue Lotus and Mother of Bloodbath's nostrils. It was obvious that the two silver auspicious gold luster cassias treated the Blue Lotus and the Mother of Bloodbath more warmly. However, the two silver auspicious gold luster cassias treated Bai Feng and Xue Shua just as well. Otherwise, it would be a plant fae that was about to become a myth breed. The two silver auspicious gold luster cassias could store the fragrance within their flower buds. He couldn't let Xue Shua and Lan Lian smell it. Bai Feng raised her brows when she noticed this and asked Lan Lian in astonishment. Blue Lotus, these two osmanthus trees are interesting. It manifested its consciousness when it was a fantasy breed. Lan Lian saw the two silver auspicious gold luster cassias. His gaze was fixed on the 2 silver auspicious gold luster caches. He used his hand to lightly touch the trunk of one of the silver auspicious gold luster cache. Feeling the closeness of the Inrue Jinzi Gui to him, he conducted the spiritual energy to the place he touched. It seemed to be greeting him. This discovery made Blue Lotus think to herself. It seemed like he had underestimated the intelligence of the silver stamen gold luster cache. The silver auspicious gold luster cache would treat him and Xueqing well, giving them more of the fragrance of the flower. He only gave a small portion to Shueshua and Baifeng. To a large extent, it was because the silver auspicious gold luster cache had discovered the true nature of the 4 of them. Plants need light and heat to grow. The celestial jade spider inside the jade gui had already been separated. Shueshua controlled the heat, the part of light that is controlled by blood emotion. The white phoenix was the dark night. The dark night would take away the light. Heat will take away moisture. That was why Inrue and Jinzi Gui treated him differently. Lan Lian asked softly after hearing Baifeng's words. Baifeng, what level were you at when you awakened your favored spirit bloodline? Baifeng was stunned for a moment before replying. Ever since I was born, I've always been the chosen one. Don't you know that? Why are you asking about it? Lan Lian rolled her eyes at Baifeng when she heard this. So, you're a heaven's favored spirit, but you don't even have the common sense of a heaven's favored spirit? When I had my memories, I wasn't a chosen spirit yet. I only awakened the blessed spirit bloodline when I became a myth breed. Then Sister Yu Gui and Sister Ziqing found him and brought him back to the blessed heaven mansion. These 2 osmanthus trees are very similar to what happened to me back then. I'm only a fantasy breed, but I can already faintly activate the power of the 4 seas. But these 2 osmanthus trees have yet to display the ability to trigger a celestial phenomenon. But that's hard to say. Some of the favored spirits are advancing to the bell of Genesis. He just awakened the favored spirit bloodline. Young Deer and Yen are both in the same situation. Baifeng pursed her lips when she heard Lan Lian's words. Lan Lian, why do you keep mentioning the fact that you're the Xiantian heaven's favored spirit? Among all the heaven's blessed dojo's heaven's blessed spirits, there were a total of 9 heaven's blessed spirits. He was the weakest among them. Every time Lan Lian mentioned it, Baifeng felt that Lan Lian wasn't praising her talent. Instead, he was belittling himself. This was because if they were to really fight, Baifeng would definitely be able to defeat Lan Lian, who could mobilize the power of the 4 seas. Blue Lotus abilities lay in support, defense, and healing. However, Baifeng's abilities lay in large-scale attacks. He lacked single-target attacks, and the only single-target attacks he had weren't top-notch. It just so happened to be countered by Blue Lotus. At the same time, Baifeng was also very shocked by Lan Lian's words. He did not expect Blue Lotus to think so highly of these 2 silver auspicious gold luster cache. His words even indicated that these 2 silver auspicious gold luster caches could possibly become spirit favored by the heavens. If these 2 silver stamen gold luster caches really transformed into spirits of heaven's favor, then the Moon Empress had the holy weeping moon beast. Doesn't that mean I have 3 heavenly chosen spirits? These 2 silver auspicious gold luster caches had always been planted in front of the Moon Empress Radiant Moon Palace. Although he was not contracted by the Moon Empress, he had been nurtured by her. It could be considered the Moon Empress Fey item. It wasn't just the Moon Empress. After the 2 silver auspicious gold luster caches became favored spirits, the Moon Empress felt a chill run down her spine. He would not give the silver auspicious gold luster cache to the Heaven's Favor Mansion. Furthermore, the Heaven's Favor Mansion did not have the face to ask the Moon Empress for it. At that moment, the Moon Empress arrived at the main hall and sat on the main seat. Mystic Moon went to the door and was about to invite Lan Lian, Baifeng, and Shueshuan. Lin Yuan followed beside Mystic Moon and saw the Mother of Bloodbath following behind Shueshua. He gave the Mother of Bloodbath a look. The Mother of Bloodbath hurriedly understood and said to Shueshua, "Daddy, I'm going to do something with Lin Yuan first. I'll wait for you at the lava land at night." As it spoke, the Mother of Bloodbath clenched its fist. It resisted the throbbing in its heart. Whether it could resurrect its mother or not, It would depend on the Remembrance Soul Whale's performance at the lava land. Ever since Shueshua met the mother of Bloodbath, he had been very careful. Ever since Shueshua met the mother of Bloodbath, he had been very careful. He didn't know how to express his fatherly love. On the other hand, he was afraid that if he showed too much, the mother of Bloodbath would not be able to accept it. On the other hand, he was afraid that if he showed too much, the mother of Bloodbath would not be able to accept it. It would be very annoying. No matter how long Shueshua had lived, he was just a new father. He had to experience the feelings and responsibilities of being a father. The mother of Bloodbath had never been by Shueshua's side since it was born. Therefore, even if Shueshua did not show it on the surface, he was actually far more flustered than a newbie nanny. Shueshua had never seen the mother of Bloodbath and only knew that he had a child. He wanted to bring the mother of Bloodbath to the lava land to have a look. That was the place where Yugui was buried. If possible, Shueshua would rather not go anywhere. He would find a cave in the lava land to live in, and often accompany Yugui. Of course, this was what Shueshua had thought before he found the mother of Bloodbath. Now that he had found his daughter, Shueshua's original thoughts had changed. Shueshua planned to live with the mother of Bloodbath. At the same time, he would protect his daughter's savior. However, with the contact just now, Shueshua was keenly aware that the mother of Bloodbath treated Lin Yuan differently. This meant that the mother of Bloodbath definitely had feelings for Lin Yuan that it did not have for anyone else. This was not the feeling an ordinary path protector had for the person it protected. It was not just gratitude either. The mother of Bloodbath did not say it clearly. However, Shueshua was keenly aware of the mother of Bloodbath's feelings when it looked at Lin Yuan. It was very similar to the way he had looked at Yugui back then. Spider species phase were the hardest to fall in love with, but after falling in love, they would fall in love the most. This was already the case for spider phase, let alone a spider's favored spirit. Shueshua could confirm that his daughter had already fallen in love with Lin Yuan. End of this chapter. Chapter 1554. Even his own daughter had expressed her feelings to him. But this feeling was already very deep. As a father, he had the right to question his daughter's feelings. However, Shueshua had just found the mother of Bloodbath and reunited with his daughter. He didn't think he had the right to ask. Looking at his appearance, it was obvious that he did not know the mother of Bloodbath's feelings. Shueshua, who was the father of a newbie, was in a dilemma. For a moment he did not know what to do. In this aspect, there was no one in the entire Blessed Dojo who could be Shueshua's teacher. Shueshua didn't even have anyone to ask. Although Baifeng was experienced, she was able to speak logically when it came to matters of the heart. However, Shueshua was not willing to get parenting experience from an experienced bachelor. Helpless, Shueshua could only smile sourly in his heart. I said to the mother of Bloodbath, "Little Qing, after visiting you, I'll wait for you at the lava field." The mother of Bloodbath was shocked. He and Lin Yuan were going to the lava field now. He wanted to see if he could use the soul thought whale to collect his mother's soul. However, when he thought about how his father, Shueshua, would probably be staying in the Radiant Moon Palace for quite a long time, he felt a chill run down his spine. It was enough for him and Lin Yuan to investigate the situation. At that time he would be able to be confident and not have to worry. If the spirit thought whale was able to find his mother's soul in the lava, at that time he could tell his father the good news. If the soul remembrance whale couldn't do it, then the mother of Blood Moon might as well not mention anything. That way his father wouldn't be hurt again. Xianyu brought Shueshua, Lanlian, and Baifeng into the Radiant Moon Palace. Lin Yuan waved his hand and summoned the Slaughter Sky Butterfly. The royal capital was in the central region of the Radiance Empire, while the Lava Land was in the southernmost region. It was next to Bronze Furnace City and Burning Flame City, two large cities in the south. If he let Blackie hurry, it would take at least a few days to reach the lava field from the royal capital. However, if he used the Heaven Slaughtering Butterfly, he would be able to arrive in slightly more than an hour. Riding on the back of the Sky Killer Butterfly, they headed south. Seeing the mother of Bloodbath's anxious and hopeful expression, Lin Yuan thought for a long time. But he really did not know how to comfort her. He could only pat the mother of Bloodbath's shoulder. If it were his parents, they would also have such an opportunity. Lin Yuan would probably be even more agitated and anxious than the mother of Bloodbath. It was the same feeling as when a family member entered the operating theater and waited for the result. Unfortunately, his parents had already perished in the insect tide. Even if Lin Yuan used Morbius to spirit lock on the soul thought whale, it was still impossible to revive his parents. At that moment, Shueshua saw the Moon Empress sitting on the main seat. He bowed and said very sincerely, "The Moon Empress had previously helped my beloved wife, and now, she is helping my daughter. Moon Empress, please accept my bow." The Heaven-Blessed Dojo and the Radiance Federation were both one of the largest factions in the world. The Dojo Lord of the Blessed Heavens Dojo and Radiance's holiness should be on equal footing. If it was said that Shueshua was only bowing to the Moon Empress to express his gratitude, it was the principle of gratitude. But now he was calling the Moon Empress. This meant that Shueshua did not regard himself as the master of the Heaven-Blessed Dojo. Instead, he became Lin Yuan's guardian. Mystic Moon had already informed the Moon Empress about Shueshua becoming Lin Yuan's guardian. Shueshua's actions made the Moon Empress' eyes flicker. In the end, the Moon Empress said honestly, "When I saved you Gui back then, I was indeed helping. However, this Empress had selfish motives in helping your daughter." The Moon Empress' words were very frank and did not hide anything. However, the Moon Empress' words immediately gained the favor of Blue Lotus, White Phoenix, and Shueshua. The Heaven-Blessed Spirit's true temperament was not fake. However, true temperament and acting on impulse were two completely different concepts from foolishness. How could there be such a coincidence in the world? The Moon Empress had coincidentally saved Shueshua and Yu Gui's daughter. She had even made Shueshua and Yu Gui's daughter her disciple's path protector. Regarding all of this, White Phoenix, Shueshua, and Blue Lotus already had a plan. They just did not say it out loud. However, even if they had a plan, their gratitude toward Lin Yuan and the Moon Empress did not diminish. Otherwise, Shueshua would not have sworn an oath with the celestial phenomenon to become Lin Yuan's path protector. He would not have bowed to thank the Moon Empress and addressed her as Lord. However, the Moon Empress had said it out loud. The last trace of hesitation in the trio's hearts had dissipated. Now, apart from gratitude, they could not help but truly admire the Moon Empress. This was because only a person who truly had a big picture could say such magnanimous words. There was no one who did not like to make friends with magnanimous people. Facing the Moon Empress' frankness, White Phoenix immediately said, "Moon Empress, on the way to Radiance, we destroyed many of the Pagoda Cannon's strongholds. I believe the Moon Empress is very clear about the grudge between our Heaven-Blessed Dojo and the Pagoda Cannon." The Moon Empress was non-committal. The Pagoda Cannon's 5 pages of truth had taken advantage of Yu Gui's weakened state to kill her. The Heaven-Blessed Dojo and the Pagoda Cannon had already formed a death grudge. The Heaven-Blessed Dojo's Dojo Lord, Ziqing, had single-handedly fought his way into the Pagoda Cannon's headquarters. He had killed a page of destiny. However, Ziqing had also suffered severe injuries. When the Moon Empress first heard this news, she did not think of the grudge between the Heaven-Blessed Dojo and the Pagoda Cannon. Instead, she was certain of one thing. There was definitely a huge problem with the 8 pages of the Pagoda Cannon. However, the Moon Empress had yet to figure out the secret of the 8 pages. Even 8-page himself didn't know what was going on. While Bai Feng was speaking, she had been observing the Moon Empress expression. Seeing that there was no change in the Moon Empress expression, Bai Feng muttered to herself for a moment. She continued, "Moon Empress, we have received information from these strongholds. 2 of the 8 pages of the Pagoda Cannon will come to Radiance, but we don't know which 2 pages they are." Bai Feng was saying all this to express goodwill to the Moon Empress. Every time the 8 pages of the Pagoda Cannon took action, there must be a clear goal. Unexpectedly, after hearing this news, the Moon Empress' expression was still calm. She only said one sentence. "If the people from the Pagoda Cannon really come to Radiance, no matter which 2 pages come, since they are here, don't leave." The Moon Empress' words shocked Bai Feng, Lan Lian, and Shueshua. How much courage did the Moon Empress have to be able to say such words? It seemed that Holy Sob was not the only one whose strength had reached above the eternal realm. The Moon Empress' strength must have also broken through. Only powerful strength could support such confidence. Presumably, in another 7 or 8 days, it would be time for the Radiance 100 sequence to truly begin. Radiance's royal capital was about to become lively. The Slaughter Sky Butterfly had already flown to the land of lava. Lin Yuan found that the concentration of fire elements in this land of lava was not much weaker than the Class 3 Abyss Dimensional Rift. It was even comparable to the Class 3 Abyss Dimensional Rift. The concentration of fire elements here was purer. At that moment, the Mother of Bloodbath suddenly knelt on the Slaughter Sky Butterfly's back. Its body trembled violently. Chapter 1555. The Mother of Bloodbath felt the bloodline in its body throb for no reason. The fire element in the lava field was so dense that it filled the air. These fire elements made the Mother of Bloodbath feel very warm. It was completely different from what he knew of the fire element. These fire elements clustered around the Mother of Bloodbath. It gave the Mother of Bloodbath the same feeling it had when it first met Xue Shua. It was like a gentle embrace. The Mother of Bloodbath knew that these fire elements were due to its bloodline. It was responding instinctively. The Mother of Bloodbath was not a sentimental person. The only times she shed tears were because of Lin Yuan. When the Mother of Bloodbath saw its father, Xue Shua, it held back. Don't let the tears come out. But now, he could feel the sensation brought by the fire element. The Mother of Bloodbath cried uncontrollably. When Lin Yuan saw the Mother of Bloodbath, his body trembled as he knelt on the Slaughter Sky Butterfly's back. Big drops of tears poured down from the Mother of Bloodbath's eyes. Lin Yuan was not in a hurry to let the Slaughter Sky Butterfly land. Instead, he squatted down. He used his fingertips to wipe away the tears on the Mother of Bloodbath's face. He had roughly guessed that the Mother of Bloodbath had been affected by the lava's fire element. Back then, the celestial jade spider's body had turned into a land of lava. The fire elements did not disperse and continued to gather in the lava field. This meant that there had to be something special about the fire elements that the Corona jade spiders had transformed into. It was because of the uniqueness of the lava. He felt that using the soul thought whale to collect the Sky Corona jade spider's soul had a high chance of success. Now, the fire elements in the lava land were gathering in the Mother of Bloodbath's direction. The Mother of Bloodbath must have gotten it from these fire elementals. Through the bloodline, the longing in the bloodline's memories was evoked. The Mother of Bloodbath looked up. The Mother of Bloodbath saw Lin Yuan's concerned expression. At that moment, the Mother of Bloodbath could no longer hold it in. She reached out and hugged Lin Yuan. He simply patted the Mother of Bloodbath's back and comforted it. He allowed the Mother of Bloodbath's tears to flow onto his shoulder. Seeing this, the Sky Killer Butterfly thought to itself. The Mother of Bloodbath had always been hiding its feelings for Lin Yuan. But now, when he sensed his mother's presence, his defense was broken. He made such an intimate gesture. However, looking at Lin Yuan's expression, Lin Yuan's eyes were filled with hope. He did not seem to understand the Mother of Bloodbath's feelings. He was simply comforting the Mother of Bloodbath. As for the fact that her father-in-law was a straight man, she didn't know what to say. The Killer Sky Butterfly expressed that it did not matter. Anyway, it was fine as long as it wasn't his purple cloud. Although the Nirvana Butterfly was with Zishao day and night, it was still with her. But that Nirvana Butterfly was also a male butterfly. That was why the Slaughterer Butterfly was so relaxed. Otherwise, the one frowning right now would probably be the Slaughtering Sky Butterfly. Because unrequited love was better than her boyfriend cheating on her. After a long while, the Mother of Bloodbath let go of Lin Yuan's embrace and said softly, "Lin Yuan, let's go down and take a look." As it spoke, the Mother of Bloodbath's face turned suspiciously red. After the Killer Butterfly landed on the ground, he stored the Butchering Sky Butterfly into the Spirit Lock spatial zone. With a wave of his hand, he summoned the Soul Whale. The Psychic Whale's current strength was at Bronze X/Legend. Before Lin Yuan comprehended the willpower rune related to the soul, the current grade was already the Soul Thought Whale's limit. Lin Yuan immediately issued a command to the Soul Thought Whale. Soul Thought Whale, use soul not. Search for the aura of the souls here. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's command, the Soul Thought Whale let out a clear cry. It immediately began to collect the souls here. As a result, after the search, the Soul Thought Whale collected the souls of various fays such as the sharp-eared firefox, fire plains wolf, rattlesnake flame python, and so on. Apart from that, the souls of these fays, there were also some adventurers' souls mixed in. Obviously, some adventurers had died here. There were a large number of insect species phase souls, and even plant species phase souls. There were countless of them. The lava land was a complete ecological environment. At every moment, there were phase fighting and preying on each other. This was the law of evolution of nature. Although the souls of those weaker life forms would quickly dissipate after they died, too many life forms had died. But within these few days, too many life forms had died. When the Soul Thought Whale used soul not, it needed soul fragments to filter them one by one. The sky cobra jade spider had been buried in the lava land for too long. Even if there was soul energy, it would be very weak. Lin Yuan wanted to use this method to search for the sky cobra jade spider's soul. The possibility was close to zero. Even if Lin Yuan stayed here 24 hours a day with the Soul Thought Whale to filter the souls, if he was unlucky, he might not be able to find the sky cobra jade spider's soul even after a few decades. No matter how strong Lin Yuan was, he could not stop the phase from growing old and dying. Lin Yuan said to the mother of Bloodbath, who had a hopeful look in its eyes, "We are at the edge of Bronze Furnace City. The deeper we go into the lava land, the denser the fire element. The possibility of collecting the souls is also higher. We will head all the way to the lava land's central area. Let the Soul Thought Whale screen the soul energy along the way." The mother of Bloodbath nodded in response. After pondering for a moment, it said, "Lin Yuan, when we get to the lava land, we'll screen until dinner tonight. If we can't find anything, wait until the Radiance 100 sequence ends. Come and accompany me for another day of screening. If we still can't find anything in one day, perhaps Mother's soul will really disappear." The mother of Bloodbath knew that Lin Yuan's time was very precious. It was already certain that Lin Yuan could become a Radiance envoy. 2 years later, the Radiance and the Freedom Federation would have a shocking gamble. These 2 years were the 2 years that Lin Yuan needed to urgently increase his strength. Therefore, the mother of Bloodbath did not want to waste too much of Lin Yuan's time, because of itself. Moreover, the mother of Bloodbath was very clear. When they reached the central area, the place with the densest fire element, if they still could not find its mother's soul there, it would almost mean that its mother's soul had already disappeared. They had only walked for a few kilometers. The density of the fire element had increased so much. At the central area, only extremely powerful life forms could survive. Therefore, there would definitely not be many souls in the central area. It should not be too difficult to search for them. As they walked, Lin Yuan realized that the Soul Thought Whale was gradually extracting more and more Spirit Chi Professionals' souls. Spirit Chi Professionals' souls were the easiest to dissipate. Being able to extract souls meant that these Spirit Chi Professionals had only been dead for a few days. This made Lin Yuan feel that something was wrong. Chapter 1556. Why were there so many Spirit Chi Professionals dying in the lava field? Soon, as the Soul Remembrance Whale searched the souls, Lin Yuan felt that he should know the reason. The Soul Remembrance Whale found an Abyss Demon's soul. Moreover, there was a large number of Abyss Demon souls in this area. Lin Yuan could not find the souls of other life forms. There should be an adventurer team that had just left Bronze Furnace City for an adventure, or on the way back. They encountered an Abyss Dimensional Rift. A large number of Spirit Chi Professionals died at the hands of the demons. Soon, Lin Yuan and the mother of Bloodbath walked to the inner circle of the lava. Here, Lin Yuan found that most of the fire-type phase had mutated. Their bloodlines had been purified. Among them, the fire-type spider phase had the most obvious change. Lin Yuan even saw a Diamond X/Fantasy V fire-type spider fae. This was the first time Lin Yuan saw a willpower rune successfully comprehended in the wild. It was a fantasy breed fae that was about to break through to myth breed. Such a fae was already a 1 in a million talent in the fae world. He used Morbius True Data to check on this fire attribute Arachne fae. At a glance, Lin Yuan realized that this fire-type Arachne fae was called the Ghost Fire Thorn Spider. The Ghost Fire Thorn Spider was a fae that focused on elemental and physical attacks. It was good at assassination. Even though the Ghost Fire Thorn Spider was a diamond/fantasy breed, it was still the size of a bottle cap. When it concealed itself, it was definitely a natural killer. From the moment this Ghost Fire Thorn Spider saw the Mother of Bloodbath, it showed an unusual closeness to the Mother of Bloodbath. It was a diamond/fantasy breed Arachne fae that had developed intelligence. However, its intelligence was obviously not high. The reason it was so close to the Mother of Bloodbath was because it had been absorbing the fire-type energy here. It had the same origin as the Mother of Bloodbath. From the moment the Mother of Bloodbath became a favored spirit, it had been carefully nurturing the blood brew grapevine. Even the 6-star sacred source life form, the scarlet tentacle algae's body, there were some parts that could not be forged into artifacts. The Mother of Bloodbath fed them to the blood brew grapevine. The Mother of Bloodbath used the blood law rune to guide it day and night. The blood brew grapevine had comprehended a willpower rune that was related to blood. He could be considered the Mother of Bloodbath's #1 disciple. The Mother of Bloodbath looked at the will-o-wisp spider for a long time. He held the will-o-wisp spider in his palm and said, "Your life level has evolved here. I'll also give you an opportunity. If you're willing, you'll follow me from today onwards. Let me guide you as you grow." The Ghost Fire Thorn Spider heard the Mother of Bloodbath's words. He quickly hid in the Mother of Bloodbath's hair. The Mother of Bloodbath did not say anything about accepting disciples. But this Diamond X/Fantasy V Will-O-Wisp Thorn Spider was only a Diamond X/Fantasy V Will-O-Wisp. He had obviously become the Mother of Bloodbath's second disciple. The fact that this will-o-wisp spider could follow the Mother of Bloodbath could definitely be considered a great opportunity. From then on, the spider's life underwent a transformation. Just as he was about to step into the central area, Lin Yuan realized that the number of souls that the Soul Remembrance Whale had found had not changed. However, among the souls that he had found, there were no living beings that were too weak. At that moment, Lin Yuan saw a spirit chi professional with multiple injuries on his body. He was holding a 3-meter-tall ape species fae and walking over from afar. That expert immediately shouted when he saw Lin Yuan and the Mother of Bloodbath. "There's an abnormal gathering of beasts ahead. It seems like some fire-type treasure is about to appear. Hurry up and run." Those fays dug out treasures and were seen by those fays that did not get a share. They might be used to vent their anger. The middle-aged man walking over from afar was a king-class expert. The ape species fae beside him was a Diamond 4/Fantasy 2 fae. It was called the Flame Pattern Battle Ape. The Land of Lava had always been a place for spirit chi professionals who had contracted fire-type fays. It was a treasure land for treasures and strength enhancement. Most fire-type fays had very bad tempers. It was very normal for them to attack when they saw someone. The Land of Lava wasn't too big, and fire-type fays grew stronger very quickly in this place. Therefore, every powerful fire attribute fae was extremely powerful. None of them were able to find land that corresponded to their strength. As such, fays valued territories very much. Any living being that stepped into the territory would be treated as an intruder and would be attacked. This king-class expert kindly warned himself and the Mother of Bloodbath. He was obviously a kind-hearted person. With a wave of his hand, a green ray of light connected to the middle-aged man and the flame-pattern battle ape. The middle-aged man and the flame-striped war ape's injuries were immediately healed. The middle-aged man was immediately aware of Lin Yuan's move. The other party wasn't like him. He truly had strength. They were qualified to enter the center of the lava field. From then on, the middle-aged man no longer warned him. Instead, he recalled what he had just seen and said. "There's at least one myth breed fae in human form inside. The treasure it's guarding seems to be a fiery red rock. That stone looks like a spider's leg from a distance. I'm not sure if I'm mistaken." When Lin Yuan heard the middle-aged man's words, his eyes lit up. I said to the mother of Bloodbath, "Come, let's go to the central area to take a look." Before the lava field was formed, it was a forest. It's impossible to have a fire-type treasure. Thus, all fire attribute treasures must be related to the body of the fallen celestial corona jade spider. If that red rock really is a body, then the soul of the magnolia jade spider must be within it. It doesn't matter how many souls there are, as long as I can absorb a bit. The Remembrance Soul Whale can use its exclusive skill, Soul Igniting Rebirth, to consume spiritual ingredients filled with soul force and guide the pure energy within them into the soul. Use soul energy to mend the broken soul as much as possible, so that the broken soul is complete. The mother of Bloodbath was so excited that it did not know what to do. The mother of Bloodbath, which had been a little discouraged, now had infinite hope in its heart. The mother of Bloodbath and Lin Yuan immediately rushed toward the central area. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath revealed its loftiness as a heavenly spirit. The moment the mother of Bloodbath activated the Sky Corona Jade Spider's bloodline, a corona appeared above the mother of Bloodbath's head. The flames extended the mother of Bloodbath's skirt infinitely. The sunlight gathered toward the mother of Bloodbath. The mother of Bloodbath was like a sun goddess. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath had the intention to kill. If those fire attribute phase entrenched in the core area, if they had to fight for those rocks that might be formed from its mother's spider legs, the mother of Bloodbath would not be polite. The moment the mother of Bloodbath activated the Sky Corona Jade Spider's bloodline, all the fire elements in the lava field began to seethe. Then the fire elemental energy began to condense continuously. The rich fire elemental energy slowly condensed into a woman's phantom. This woman's phantom looked a little blurry, but no matter how one looked at it, it was 70% to 80% similar to the mother of Bloodbath. She also wore a sun crown on her head. After the fire elemental energy condensed into the woman's phantom, wind finally blew into the lava field where the fire elemental energy was entrenched. The wind blew the clouds, and the rain of yearning finally fell after so many years. At that moment, the cool breeze turned into rain, and yearning filled the ground. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.